Why, hello, everybody. Welcome to the gym. Thank you so much for being here. Good day to you all. Yes. Happy Halloween. That is yes, it is Halloween. Happy Halloween. I celebrated this past weekend, so I'm not dressed up today. All right, I already did my dress up, and frankly, it is too cold to be bare-chested in my studio today. It's freezing. Yep. The few nice weeks of fall that we are allotted here in Akron, Ohio, have officially passed. Yes, it is now freezing, and I do not have HVAC in my studio. No heating, no air condition, none of that. So, I'm layered up, as you can see. I got 3 layers I'm rocking today. Got a heater. I got a space heater right there. Right there. And it's shooting 80-degree heat at my ankles. So my ankles feel okay, but everything else is pretty much freezing. Yeah. Well, I don't own this building, so I don't get to make the decisions when it comes to putting HVAC in. And Jameson, who does own the building, I've been in conversations with Jameson about getting HVAC in the studio for a long time. But the thing is that I'm probably going to be getting a new studio in the upcoming year. There's just a lot of changes happening. Yeah, like this, we're doing a lot of renovations, and it's coming. It's just not here yet. So I probably have to do one more season. Yeah. One more season of absolutely frigid studio temperatures, and then then we'll be on to warmer things. Yes. I know. Will I make it through this winter? We'll have to see. But thank you all so much for tuning in. We've got a very exciting stream today because I'm not playing any TCG Live. That's right. No TCG Live today. And the reason for that is that TCG Live is undergoing maintenance to accommodate for the newest set, Paradox Rift, which is going to be live on Thursday. I actually don't even know if I don't even know, like, if I don't know if live will be up tomorrow. It might be, might be maintenance tomorrow too. So I don't know. Yesterday's stream, we ended by talking about the history of the Pokemon TCG, going through the black and white era, which was very fun, and I definitely I enjoyed doing that. I promised more of that today. However, we've got an even more exciting thing than that on the schedule for today. If you've been watching the Tricky Gym videos on YouTube, then you are familiar with Mr. Pigchef's work. The Pigchefer. In the chat. Thank you, Red One, for that sub. Appreciate you. Is the man behind my tabletop gameplay edits. So if you've seen any of the instant Tricky Gym classics, like the, Roaring Moon video, or the Goldango video, or any of this good stuff. This is all Pigchef's work right here. All of that. I didn't teach him how to do, I kind of showed him a couple of things, but Pigchef really took all this to the next level. Okay? All that stuff. Yeah, Pigchef really has gone above and beyond the line of duty when it comes to just editing my tabletop videos. He has taken them to another realm entirely. All right. And and I'm very proud of how he has developed as an editor, and you know, the excitement he's been able to bring to these tabletop edits. He's done you know, he's done a really amazing job with that. So Pigchefer is also a creator himself. He's got his own YouTube channel, Pigchefer, and I highly recommend checking it out. He's a very inspired young man going to college right now in the Philippines, and you know, and he makes like cool animated videos about his life. I definitely recommend checking him out and supporting his content, as supporting his content also supports my content, because the longer that Pigchefer is able to make a living doing, you know, work on the internet, longer he's going to be able to work for me. So that's great. But definitely support the pig. All right, support the pig. Go support the pig. Check him out. And today we are going to be showing off a video that Pigchefer made about working for Tricky Jim. Now, I don't know how many of you have an employee who ever made a video about working for you, but it's kind of nerve-wracking. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I hope it's okay. But apparently he's very excited for me to see it. And, you know, yeah, he's going to... We need more benefits. We need higher pay. But really, I have no idea what to expect. So, we're going to watch that today with Pig's blessing. He wants to watch my live reaction to his video, and I got the joke about less than minimum wage. Bro, my rate from the beginning was clear, Pig. My rate from the beginning was clear. I'll tell you that when Pigchefer first emailed me, he told me that he would do it for way less than I was offering all my other editors. He's like, "You're paying your editors way too much. I'll do it for way less. And now what? I'm paying you way more, aren't I?" That's right. That's right. But no, me and Pig have a great working relationship, and I'm very excited to watch the video. So that's what we're going to do to start off the stream. We kick back, relax, watch Pig's new video. You can only watch it by joining Pig's channel right now. It's 99 cents. So really not a lot to support a great, talented young man that, you know, really deserves it. And I think that will probably be evident from watching the video. So let's get into it. If you're watching on the VOD channel and stuff, definitely make sure to go check out Pigchefer's YouTube channel so that you can support him directly by giving him a view. I'm going to remove my face cam, and I think that, or I can make it real small. Yeah, we'll just make it real small. All right, cool. And then we'll go here. And let's watch the video, shall we? Y'all ready? Anything else we need to do? I don't think so. Oh, headphones. These headphones are like ancient skull candy headphones I had from when I was in college, like 12 years ago, and they barely work. I really ought to get a new pair of headphones, but yeah, just, you know, whatever. These still work. Thankfully, the computer still has a headphone jack. I can plug these things in, so that's nice. That's not ancient? Bro, 2010 is pretty ancient at this point. Yeah, they're Skull Candy Aviators. I went to go look up the Skull Candy Aviators the other day, and yeah, they do not make these anymore. No, these ancient, bro. Hold on. Audio. Where's my audio coming through? The external headphones. That's where it's coming through. All right, great. Embor.
I don't really care about money. Crazy, I know. There's just a bunch of things I love doing and don't really mind if I don't get rewarded like others do. I mean, why else would I still be spending...
This is so sick, bro. I know this lo-fi, bro. I know this lo-fi. I know. Why do I know this lo-fi? Anyways, let's keep going. It's the pig. There's an Embor.
I don't really care about money. Crazy, I know. There's just a bunch of things I love doing and don't really mind if I don't get rewarded like others do. I mean, why else would I still be spending 8 hours a day making YouTube videos and get literally no money out of it? What's kind of sad about all that, though, is that I get literally no money out of it. A lot of my friends and people around me have since gotten real jobs and earned real stuff. So eventually I got worried if I was supposed to be a little more concerned about it. Like, think about this. A part-time, 30-hour week moping around in the corner of Dollar General pays a good $300. So given that I spent around 1,000 hours on my last 5 videos, mathematically that means I got at least a couple grand from YouTube, right? Right? I haven't been paid in 10 months. I guess it's dinner in the junkyard again. Soon I got so worried I was doing life wrong that eventually I told myself I should probably earn at least a little something. For the longest time, I thought I'd do this by working in the family store for the summer. I mean, what was there to lose? But the closer the day came, the more I worried it would mean I couldn't work on art as much as I liked anymore. So eventually I opted out. Okay, so I want a job, but not too much of a job that is the only meaningful thing I'll do. I want money, but I don't want that to be my only purpose in life. I want to be productive, but not to where the only person I'll be really helping is me. Well, that's enough thinking for one day. Let's take a break and sink the next hour or two watching funny card gamer streamer man.
Guess who it is? It's pig time, baby.
Enter Andrew Mahone, aka Enjoyfriend, aka formerly the guy in Dariums, aka the biggest Pokemon TCG creator that ain't Japanese, aka the creator of Gym Leader Challenge Best TCG Format, aka 21st in Worlds with Rhydon, aka the only married person in all of Twitch, aka the best kickflipper to ever grace the planet, aka the owner of Tricky Gym. Andrew's been my favorite creator for pretty much a whole year now. Like, his video literally appears on this shot of Why I Stopped Trying. That's when you know I'm a real fan. Part of the reason I love him so much is that he can make literally anything he talks about ear candy. Sure, there are other guys that can make cool, epic content, but the second they pivot, I lose all interest. I couldn't give 2 tricks about Zelda or the mortgage in Akron, Ohio, or the installation of HVACs, but when he talks about it, bro, if I miss even 2 minutes of it, I may as well be dead. But I think what's made him even more special now is that I sort of see myself in him.
I can't breathe, bro. I can't breathe. I'm not gonna make it through the video, bro. It's so funny, bro. It's so funny. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen, bro. I'm gonna turn down my own microphone because I'm gonna. Oh God.
Well, that's enough thinking for one day. Let's take a break and sink the next hour or two watching funny card gamer streamer man.
Guess who it is? It's pig time, baby.
Enter Andrew Mahone, aka Enjoyfriend, aka formerly the guy in Dariums, aka the biggest Pokemon TCG creator that ain't Japanese, aka the creator of Gym Leader Challenge Best TCG Format, aka 21st in Worlds with Rhydon, aka the only married person in all of Twitch, aka the best kickflipper to ever grace the planet, aka the owner of Tricky Gym. Andrew's been my favorite creator for pretty much a whole year now. Like, his video literally appears on this shot of Why I Stopped Trying. That's when you know I'm a real fan. Part of the reason I love him so much is that he can make literally anything he talks about ear candy. Sure, there are other guys that can make cool, epic content, but the second they pivot, I lose all interest. I couldn't give 2 tricks about Zelda or the mortgage in Akron, Ohio, or the installation of HVACs, but when he talks about it, bro, if I miss even 2 minutes of it, I may as well be dead. But I think what's made him even more special now is that I sort of see myself in him. To put it simply, he kind of stands for where I see my life heading if everything in my future turns out okay. Here's a quick catch-up so you know what I mean. Ever since forever, Andrew's dreamt of a life as a content creator. So for lots of his youth, he taught himself how to Photoshop pictures and edit skateboarding videos. Then he was forced by his parents to go to college, so he went for an art degree since art's the best and academics stink. Leaving college was scary since he didn't know where to go from there, so he took on some ordinary everyday jobs that were not, in fact, content creation. But one day, opportunity struck, and he got a job creating content about cards. And ever since, he's never let go and has entertained more people than he could ever dream of. Now, look at me. Ever since forever, I dreamt of a life as a storyteller. So for lots of my youth, I've taught myself how to write stories and make whatever art I could be proud of. Then I was forced by my parents to go to college, so I went for an art degree since art's the best and academics stink. Leaving college is scary for me because I don't know where on earth I'm gonna go afterwards. As far as I know, I might end up sulking around and doing nothing for a decade. But I hope one day opportunity will strike, and in some miraculous fashion, I'll become an epic filmmaker and make lots of stories people can enjoy and touch more people's hearts than I could ever dream of. While my canvas is a silver screen, his bread and butter has been his tabletop content, highly produced real-life videos of him and another dude playing games of Pokemon cards. At first, I wasn't super into this side of his channel, but slowly they've improved more and more, and he's become so much more passionate about making them that I started watching them just because seeing the finished product always felt so inspiring. But like all good things in life, these videos took a heavy toll. Look at these cameras. They cost money. Look at this co-host. He costs money. And look at this video. 40 minutes long? You want to edit entire videos that are 40 minutes long? So it's no wonder these videos always lose him more money than he gains, yet he still kept at it for years because this is what he loved doing. And besides his co-host he plays games with, he has to do everything himself. But at the time, things had to be this way.
That's the deal. Even, I mean, I'm talking to a very nice person over email who's interested in doing video editing for Tricky Jim, but like their rate is like $400, $500 a day. My videos maybe make about $100 in ad revenue. When I was paying Chip, I paid Chip like $100, $150. Yesterday's stream was a long stream, so I paid Jesse $100 for that. The overhead for each tabletop video is like $200 minimum. That's something that's like weighs on my mind constantly because it's like I'm trying to figure out how to make it all work.
Hey, wait a minute. I'm a guy who likes editing videos. I'm a guy who doesn't care about money. I'm a guy who thrives on Mr. Jim's success. Maybe I could edit his videos for him. But wait, think of all your favorite YouTubers whose channels crumbled from hiring new editors. Curryway, Unlisted Leaf, The Odd Ones Out, Mr. Beast, Real Breaking Nate. I didn't want that to happen. Not sure if you read the title of the video, but this is my favorite YouTuber. I don't want to be why his channel falls off, so as I wrote my email asking if I could try editing for him, I made sure to note 3 things. That I fully loved and understood what his content aspired to be, that I wanted to keep that very same vibe if I did get the job, and that I plugged my channel in the email. I showed an epic buddy, ST Cubing, editor of 50 billion YouTubers, the email once I sent it, and he told me it sounded very insecure. Because I am insecure. I've had a hard time trusting myself since the beginning of forever. And besides not trusting that I wouldn't torpedo his channel with my first vid, I also had no idea if I even had anything to offer in the first place. One of my ideas for summer jobs before the gym was to open commissions. You know, going on Fiverr or something and offering random people to edit their videos or draw funny pictures for them. But would I even get anyone? My art making style is so different from anything else that the only person I thought I would be useful for was myself. There are real animators and real editors and real artists out there. As fellow Pigchefer cast member Amplified,
I'm gonna stop this right here and let you know, Pig, you are a real artist and a real animator and a real editor. You already are. You are real. You are real. There's no such thing as real. But if there was, you are that. That's all just in your head. Yeah.
said on stream, my stories are fine and my drawings are fine, but seeing the finished product is pure bliss.
Yeah, shut up, Emily.
The finished product. Maybe I could tell him I had heaps of experience, but deep inside, I didn't really feel like I did. So my hopes weren't exactly the highest. As Mr. Jim put it, I just emailed some random guy on the internet I watched who didn't have to read a thing I said, but what I was yet to know was that this email was about to change my life in ways I could never even dream of.
So Pig sent me a nice email, basically, you know, applied to work with me on video editing and things like that. Pigchefer is a very motivated, enthusiastic, bright young lad from the Philippines who is going to be helping me with video editing. Just graduated high school, so we're kind of working together like helping me, lad from the Philippines. Man, I love the little Easter eggs, man. Yeah. Yeah, don't tell anybody. Who is going to be helping me with video editing. Just graduated high school, so we're kind of working together like an internship, kind of. I'm helping teach Pigchefer about editing and Premiere Pro and stuff like that. And Pigchefer, who has his own YouTube channel, is going to be helping me with editing. I was really impressed by his enthusiasm and how motivated he was to learn more about video editing and all of that. And also just like his videos. Like, look at this. Okay. Do you mind if I show off a minute of your video real quick, Pigchefer? All right, well, in order to figure out the rest that happens, you have to go to Pigchefer's channel and watch the rest. He's so talented, and he's still learning a lot. He's still learning a lot about Premiere, but he's learning at a rapid rate. Like, I'm showing him how to do a couple of things this weekend, because he just got Premiere for the first time. He was doing this on a free program. We just got Premiere Pro for Pigchefer, and he's going to be, like, next level. Like, you got it, you know? You got what it takes to actually do this. So I'm just excited to be a part of your journey and to kind of help you along in whatever way that I can. Anyways, really looking forward to working together and seeing what we can accomplish together, really, with our powers combined. It'll be sick.
Okay, a few things. One, Andrew calls me Pigchefer. Never really thought anyone would call me anything other than Matthew, Matt, Pigchefer, or Pig. But when he started saying Pigchefer, everyone else started saying Pigchefer, and honestly, I kind of like it. Please keep doing that. Second, I watched this happen live on stream with Mr. Blue Thick Fish, and he can vouch when I say I'm screaming very loudly at this moment. I may be his editor, but that doesn't mean I won't be his fan and freak out when he notices me. But most importantly, he believes in me. He read the email, he saw all the things I made, and instead of thinking it was silly and useless like I thought it was, he saw a lot in me, and really thinks I can succeed in an epic creative life and wants to support me, and that's so cool, man! Hearing someone that's already succeeded in what I wanted to do tell me that he's sure I'm going somewhere is the most reassuring feeling on earth. Even without the job, dude, just hearing that he thought my videos were wonderful would make my whole year. But he did give me the job. He could tell from my content that I was fresh out of high school, so he wanted it to be kinda like an internship. He helps me get all the skills I need to work for Reels while I edit his videos, and also gives me Munners, and Premiere, and a $69 animation pad, and a 45-minute tutorial on how to edit like he does. Look, if this doesn't convince you he's the best boss ever, I'm gonna lose my mind. Your man may be from Dollar General, but I came from the gym. So pretty much all throughout that week, Andrew and I were discussing how this whole editing gig would work. Of course, this was my first job literally ever, but once he laid it all out, it was actually quite simple. The tabletop videos would be split between me and Mr. Jim. Mr. Jim would take care of the beginning bits on his own, while I would edit all the gameplay, the part of the videos that make these things so gosh darn long. He would send all my footage to a Google Drive folder, which I would download, edit, and send back when I finished. No deadlines, no limits, just take however long I need and do whatever I want, and once he received the edited footage, he would put his pieces together with mine, ship it, DM me his feedback, and pay me my monies. The better I got and the more work I would do, the more money I'd get. Simple as that. Now, I don't know about you, but hearing that I get to help the gym that easy, and finally get to do something other than draw pigs all day, I can't name anything any more exciting. But as simple and exciting as it looked, there was just one problem. I can't work without that happening. My setup sucks! Here's what I used to make literally all my videos before this. Here's my beat up laptop, my drawing tablet I stole from my brother, my headphones, and my complete absence of a mouse. This setup barely got me through editing my own videos, which, if you recall, are shortest trick. I have to edit 40-minute videos. And I couldn't even get to the 2-second mark without... Well, it's no use. Throw in the towel. I'll tell Mr. Jim the news tomorrow. Wait, hold up, I didn't order anything. Why is delivery here?
Turns out Full Grip does have super fast shipping.
Yeah, pretty much 30 minutes later, my new computer came in. I don't want to seem like a rich kid who has oodles of disposable income, because I'm not. So I've always been real hesitant asking anything expensive from anyone. But my parents insisted I get something for my graduation, and their first idea was a new computer, and I didn't really know what else to ask for. It was supposed to arrive a few months out, but once news arrived that the gym was paying me, they got it to arrive literally on the day. And I'm quite grateful for it. I do find it a little silly that this only happened because of the money, though. My parents don't really understand what I'm doing or even what editing is, and even used to limit how much I could work because they think I'm just playing games or something. But when they heard me screaming from Andrew's reply email and there was money involved, suddenly it was like editing was a gift sent from heaven. But it is still nice though that I have my parents who care about me surviving and Mr. Jim who cares about me thriving, creative-wise. And this is my new setup. Here's my M1 Mac. It's green because I like green. Here's my...
I'm gonna die, man. Oh, this is so sweet. Oh my god. Oh. With the actual footage of you opening in the computer and stuff, man. Oh my god. Oh my god.
My keyboard and my mouse. Here's my old setup. It's kind of like my second monitor where I draw pictures. And here's a picture of Andrew Mahone my brother drew... Wait. Where is it? Did someone throw it away? I swear it exists. I'm literally not lying. Trying out my new setup for the first time was an absolute treat. It did take a while to get used to the Mac OS and the complete absence of right-click, but other than that, I really felt like I could create to my fullest potential for the first time. I was talking to Mr. Jim about it that day, and he was like, 8 gigs of RAM might be a little slow, but it should work out just fine. And after making this, and this with it, yeah, it worked out just fine. Even with the new computer though, I was still a bit nervous about my first editing assignment, a video where a broken deck beats slightly less broken deck. I watched the Twitch stream where these games were played live, and at the time it seemed like light work. All I gotta do is cut the dead space, put the cards on screen, and what do you know, the video is over. But the more I went through the video, the more I realized what editing really is like. These videos could not be more different than my own work, even more so than I first thought. With my videos, every tiny decision is scripted and pre-planned, and I know exactly
the 10 billion views. That's so sick.
Is like. These videos
10 billion. No. It's like the little things like that, you know, like that's so sick. 10 billion. Broken decks for every occasion. Oh man, it's so good. This is so
could
good.
Not be more different than my own work, even more so than I first thought. With my videos, every tiny decision is scripted and pre-planned, and I know exactly what to do the second I open the editor.
Oh
With
my
videos
God.
at the gym, there is no plan or script. I have to make literally every choice on the spot. And it's a 40-minute video. Not to mention, there were so many more decisions than I ever imagined. How fast do I pace it? Where do I make the cards appear? What bits of dialogue do I keep or cut out? So I did what any sane, agreeable human would do. Watch Tricky Jim's tabletop videos frame by frame and completely replicate every single edit he's ever done. Yeah, I did have tiny little ideas for my own flares, but again, I didn't trust that my judgment would be any good for the job. But you know what I did trust? The gym, baby. After all, according to one of his streams, he's gotten it down to a science, so I felt much safer doing everything exactly the same. It wasn't even that exact, let's not talk about it. And even if I didn't trust myself, I did have some faith that this video would help me get a good workflow by the end. For those of you curious, and I know a ton of you are,
the background, the TCG live background, bro.
It wasn't even that exact, let's not talk about it. And even if
Look at this, dude. look at the live backdrop. Yo, they should hire you to do this.
if I didn't trust myself, I did have some faith that this video would help me get a good workflow by the end. For those of you curious, and I know a ton of you are, this is basically how I make my videos. I spent quite a while mixing and matching everything to be as efficient as possible. And for me, that means each distinct step has its own distinct session, and every action I do is done from easiest to hardest. Now that we know how I make my videos,
see, Pig, you're going places in life because you're organized. That's great. That's fantastic. Yes. Oh, that is all so fantastic. Yeah. That's going to help a lot with where you're headed. Yeah. And it's going to help with your ability to work with teams and stuff. Yeah. I mean, my goodness, corporate loves that kind of stuff. Not that you want to work for corporate, but if you ever did, oh my God, they love that stuff.
Let's take a look at how Mr. Jim makes his. Wait, that's it? You just do everything all at once? Is that how you clutch the Tinglu one out in 12 hours? Needless to say, I'm way worse at multitasking than Andrew. So with making this video, I tried splitting everything into its own step. Now you may think I'm going a bit too overboard, but personally, I think my workflow is genius. So first, I would cut everything up, and then I would watch the whole video again to add the trainer cards. And then I would watch the whole video again to add the Pokemon cards. And then I would watch the whole video again to mask the Pokemon cards. And then I would watch the whole... Finishing this video took about a week of work, which even for me is a little slow. But looking back, I at least nailed the one thing I sought out to do. Recapture that very same Tricky Jim vibe we know and love. Mr. Jim seemed happy about it too, so he published it, gave me the munners, and the next morning I sat back and watched the entirety of my work for the first time. And there it hit me. I did it. I actually did it. I actually really pulled it off. Now all I have to do is do the exact same thing I just did over and over again. Okay, you know that's not really what happened. But at the time, I figured that was enough. But I could do better than enough. It took a little while, but I learned that with my own videos, and that's what I was soon to learn even more in my work for Mr. Jim. I just had to have a little more faith in myself for once, that's all. Fortunately, I didn't have to wait very long. A few weeks later, Mr. Jim gave me my next project, where Broken Deck from 2016 beats Broken Deck from 2016. Andrew was out for the International Championships right after I finished the first edit, so getting this took a bit. Longer than expected. My parents kept suggesting it was because I figured that was enough. But I could do better than enough. It took a little while, but I learned that with my own videos, and that's what I was soon to learn even more in my work for Mr. Jim. I just had to have a little more faith in myself for once, that's all. Fortunately, I didn't have to wait very long. A few weeks later, Mr. Jim gave me my next project, where Broken Deck from 2016 beats Broken Deck from 2016. Andrew is out for the...
Pig, that's not a deck box.
International Championships right after I finished the first edit, so getting this took a bit longer than expected. My parents kept suggesting it was because...
Oh my God.
He silently fired me, so when I did get the job, I was a bit afraid it only happened because I said I was suffering on the growing up video. But hey, a break is a break, so I'll take it. In no time, I got straight to work. I cut it all up, watched the video, put the trainer cards, watched the video, put the Pokemon, and way quicker than I expected, I was pretty much done with the first of the games. Now, a sane, agreeable man would be satisfied here and just take the money. But here I was, having some shower thoughts of my own. There was this one Twitch stream where Andrew was talking about his own edits, and he was like,
what if when the Gyarados attacked, it like swung in to the Spiritomb and like a 90 popped out of it, and there was like a water sploosh. You see how like it was so like Pig was nervous about getting the job. Like, dude, someone emails you and they know exactly what you're looking for without you having to tell them. It was like that's the best thing you could possibly do as someone looking for a job, is know exactly what your employer is looking for. You know what I mean? Like it was a no-brainer for me. Like, of course you were going to get the job. Yeah. like, dude, Pig, you're the best, man. You're the best for sure. All I need is for someone to develop the animations for me. Now, that could still cost thousands of dollars, but I'm not opposed to,
And then it hit me. Hey, I'm the guy that Andrew pays. I can do that. So right after my shower, I started working on what the damage stuff would look like. The closer I got to a final product though, the more unsettling thoughts came in. Wait, Andrew never actually paid someone to make the custom animations. Maybe he stopped liking the idea. Maybe he didn't want this anymore. Maybe he thought this was too much. Because in this other stream Andrew had, he said,
and that's the thing, is like you gotta figure out what's too much, what's overwhelming, what's overstimulating, right? Because if you put in too many, you start to lose the plot a little bit. You start to get lost in the sauce when there's like too many cues.
what if I would make his videos lost in the sauce? He did say he wanted this though. Maybe I'll just do a little test to see what these would look like, send it to Andrew and ask if he likes it. I mean, it's a simple click delete if he hates it. All I had to do was wait for his approval. And boy, did I get more than that. I got...
Did you see that? How slick that looked. I know, I saw it and my mind was blown, bro. I was like, that's so slick. It really makes it so much more engaging, so fun to watch. I am so thrilled. He's killing it. He's doing such a good job. I'm so proud of him. I'm really excited about the work he's doing, you know? He's very clearly passionate and like really dialed into the content, and it's so exciting. It's so exciting to like have a working relationship like that where it's like, okay, we're both bouncing ideas off each other and inspiring each other to push it even further. It's really cool. He didn't even have Adobe Premiere or Final Cut or anything. Basically a total stranger. I was like, all right, we're just gonna take a little risk and we're gonna see if you're capable. And dang, I am so amped up. He is killing it. He pretty much taught himself how to use, he'd never used Adobe Premiere before. It's crazy. Like, look how fast he's learning. Now, like, I'm genuinely really excited to do tabletop now. But now I just need to figure out how to keep affording it.
God, something tells me he doesn't hate it. I think I've become a little more detached to the meaning of compliments recently. Like, half the time I don't even know whether to believe someone when they say they like my videos. But Andrew saying he wants to make tabletop stuff even more now because of this, that's priceless. That and his chat being excited for these videos just for my edits, and Heather, female protagonist, professional Pokemon cosplayer, wanting to co-host these videos more to get the Pigchefer treatment, that's when I knew that I did something right. Andrew told me a while back that he hopes that working for him...
Heather, female protagonist. Little risk and we're gonna see if you're capable. And dang, I am really excited to do table.
God, something tells me he doesn't hate it. I think I've become a little more detached to the meaning of compliments recently. Like, half the time I don't even know whether to believe someone when they say they like my videos. But Andrew saying he wants to make tabletop stuff even more now because of this, that's...
oh my god.
Priceless. That and his chat being excited for these videos just for my edits, and Heather, female protagonist, professional Pokemon cosplayer, wanting to co-host these videos more to get the Pigchefer treatment, that's when I knew that I did something right. Andrew told me a while back that he hopes that working for him has given me a bit more faith in myself. Well, this moment happened, and now I feel even more faithful than ever. Since I started editing for him, I added the damage animations, the pops, the shadows, the smooth zooms, the cards across when you gust, the glowy highlights on the board, and visual gags when anyone forgets what the cards do. And I know they're not the biggest of changes, but that's kind of the point, isn't it? Now, I've kind of come to grips with my own faith and trusted my judgment on whether I was getting lost in the sauce or not, while in the end, still making the gym's videos better and better. Like, even Andrew got inspired by what I was doing and started making those edits in his own projects too. And when he told me about it, I felt so honored you don't even understand. And don't even get me started on his community, bro. Like, man, they're so cool. My first video for the gym may have gotten me a place, but this video put me on the map. People started seeing me as something genuinely special that's happened to the channel. My name basically became synonymous to the videos. Like, whenever a new tabletop video would come out, people would think of Tricky Jim and me. And for this to happen specifically with my favorite YouTuber, I just feel so lucky. I made this one joke in Mr. Mahone's DMs that my audience is full of 13-year-olds, while his audience is full of fathers of 13-year-olds. And just forget about that truth I'm spitting because you should see for yourself. Maybe it's just me, but I feel Twitch gamers aren't exactly the best cultivators of communities. After a while, people's egos start inflating and they start making everyone feel small and mocked and neglected. Of course, except for all the popular people and the girls in chat. But Tricky Jim? Wait a minute, there's no superiority complex? There's no simps? You're saying that everyone's humble and kind and welcoming with each other here? Now where has this been all my life? I wish I knew sooner a man could be popular and not fall for his pride. Curryway! I mean seriously, the Minecraft speedrun community is full of simps. And dang it man, it's so gosh darn nice to be at some place where I'm not condescended on every time I speak. I might be half the age of everyone there, but it truly feels like I'm an equal. And for that, I am eternally grateful. But it truly to be at some place where I'm not condescended on every time I speak. I might be half the age of everyone there.
Not even in my 20-somethings, 30-somethings.
But it truly
You want to cheer the Bengals?
feels like I'm an equal. And for that, I am eternally grateful.
What's the average age here? Yeah, 30s for sure. Yeah. Nah, this is the millennial safe space. Uh-huh. We got a new poll up. Let's see it. Are you 13 to 19, 20 to 29, or 30 plus? Just everything above. Yeah, I don't need to. If you're over 30, no 40 plus, listen. As a 34-year-old, I'll claim all the 40s and the 50s. That's fine. We're all in this together, okay? $18, you never thought you'd be in the minority. Yes, 25 is Gen Z. Yeah, oh, yeah. Dang, we got a lot of participation in this. That's crazy. A lot of participation in this poll. My knees hurt answering this poll. Yeah, we got 55% of chat says that they are over 30. 38% of chat's 20 to 29. And 7% of chat is 13 to 19. That's crazy. At school, I feel old. And here, I feel young being 24. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Born in 2005? No, that's okay. You're 18. That's cool. That's cool. I remember what it was like to be 18. Barely. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I stream during the day. Of course, it's all people with jobs, working remote, stuff like that, vibing out during the day. You got your stable job, you got your 2 monitors, you got the stream up on one, you got, your work up on the other. Yeah. That's the vibe we cultivate here. Yeah. How do you know that? It's because I know my audience, all right? I know it. Yes. 54% in the 30 plus club.
And with that, we're gonna cut to a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere, the best part of the gym is yet to come. We'll be right back after this message.
And now, put your hands together for Tricky Jeopardy!
Welcome to Tricky Jeopardy! I'm your host, Jameson, and this daily segment was brought to you by FullGripGames.com.
What is that? What is this? Hold on. All right. Not that far back.
Became synonymous to the videos. Like, whenever a new tabletop video would come out, people would think of Tricky Jim and me. And for this to happen specifically with my favorite YouTuber, I just feel so lucky. I made this one joke in Mr. Mahone's DMs that my audience is full of 13-year-olds, while his audience is full of fathers of 13-year-olds. And just forget about that truth I've spitting, because you should see for yourself. Maybe it's just me, but I feel Twitch gamers aren't exactly the best cultivators of communities. After a while, people's egos start inflating and they start making everyone feel small and mocked and neglected. Of course, except for all the popular people and the girls in chat. But Tricky Jim? Wait a minute, there's no superiority complex?
The fact that you chose you chose me looking into the camera, biting the card, bro. Like, what? This is me, down to earth.
There's no simps? You're saying that everyone's humble and kind and welcoming with each other here? Now where has this been all my life? I wish I knew sooner a man could be popular and not fall for his pride. Curryway! I mean, seriously, the Minecraft speedrun community is full of simps. And dang it, man, it's so gosh darn nice to be at some place where I'm not condescended on every time I speak. I might be half the age of everyone there, but it truly feels like I'm an equal. And for that, I am eternally grateful. And with that, we're gonna cut to a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere, the best part of the gym is yet to come. We'll be right back after this message.
And now, put your hands together for Tricky Jeopardy!
Welcome to Tricky Jeopardy! I'm your host, Jameson, and this daily segment was brought to you by FullGripGames.com. Now why don't you get this game started, Natalie?
I'll pick Tricky True Events for 1,000, please.
This is the Tricky Gym community member who was the first and only person to ever ask for Pigchef's autograph.
Who is Alex Holtz?
That is correct!
I'll take Tricky Card References for 500.
This is the Pokemon card alluded to in the following quote. And also, they're afraid of me getting shot by quick shooters.
What is Intellion from Chilling Reign?
Right again!
Let's go with Tricky Quotes for 50,000, please.
This is the meaning behind the following message from Tricky Jim.
What is that supposed to mean?
Message from Tricky Jim. Message from Tricky.
You don't have to handle food to cook.
Tricky Jim.
What is that supposed to mean?
And it looks like we're out of time, folks.
What is that?
You probably think I'm being naive, but like, in a server and read the context, you'll get.
Supposed to mean?
And it looks like we're out of time, folks. Remember, be sure to check out FullGripGames.com, the best place to buy trading card game singles and sealed products. Let's head back over to you, Pig.
Thanks, Jameson, for that wonderful game, and thank you, Mr. Jim, for letting me add that sponsorship joke. Which reminds me, I haven't talked about my pay, like, at all in this video. Have I? It's like the most important detail. How on earth did I forget? But then again, I also forgot about the pay while making literally all his videos. Like, I pretty much only remember when my mom texted me she got the gym payment. Yeah, my parents are the ones excited over the money. And I mean, that's fair. One of the first things someone asks when taking a job is, what's the pay? But in my application email to Andrew, I literally wrote about the pay, and I quote, please don't worry about it. Because, and I can't stress this enough, that's not why this job matters so much to me. But if you're curious, I get paid $2 for a video. Sorry about that, censor, my mom's holding me hostage. I chose this job because I really wanted to help Mr. Jim with his passion, and I've come to love this job because of him. Because of this job, I now have a super epic mentor figure, someone I've admired for so long and now get to share things to. Sometimes I watch a vid he edited himself and then go up to his DMs.
God, I gotta know about Emily, you know? I mean, I need the pig lore, bro. Replacement for Emily. Who's Emily?
Start geeking out over how everything's so cool and epic and mind-blowing, because I can do that now. And sometimes I talk about my worries over college and other future-y things, and then he spends a while typing out tons of advice and wisdom for me, because I can do that now. None of this was part of the job description. He really didn't need to do any of it, but he does, and gosh, it's so cool. In fact, the very best moment of my work for him wasn't about his videos at all. It was about mine. Do you remember this clip of my last video?
Hey, Pig, got any idea what course you'll be taking?
That is Mr. Jim. I asked him during a power outage in his office if he'd be fine saying that line for the video, and to my surprise, he agreed. Andrew knew I was cooking my own thing alongside his tabletop videos for the longest while now. Even during his first call discussing the job with me, I was working on that exact video. And he's been really supportive of my efforts with it, saying over and over how he was really looking forward to seeing it. There was this one day I was showing him a way to make the damage animations way quicker, and he asked how I was doing, so I was like,
I'm so tired. I've only been editing the past 2 days.
And he was like,
yes, your personal video.
and I was like,
No, the Tricky Jim video.
isn't that so sick? After I finished that tabletop vid, I asked if I had anything else to do, and he said he'd give me a break to finish my own video. He gave me the rest of the week off since he knows what I do is really hard, and hey, have I mentioned how trick and cool the gym is yet? Until I inevitably realized how trick and painful making my own videos really was. It sucks. I don't know if you realize, but drawing the same fish person, pig person, Matthew person over and over and over again for 8 hours a day is exactly how you die inside. And I get burned out after an hour. It got so bad that I started using editing for Tricky Jim as an excuse to take breaks from the real work. Yeah, I worked to take breaks. And honestly, editing his videos was a nice escape from reality for me. Besides distracting me from my creative pains, it also distracted me from my social pains, my academic pains, my family pains. I could work on the gym videos for 10 hours a day and not go insane. So in that fateful week where I had no homework, I was losing my mind. But it's not like I could just ask for another project. Andrew's next planned video was going to be about unreleased Charizard cards. And as far as I know, I don't think you can play with cards that don't exist.
And now we've got backwards cards.
So when the cards did finally arrive and Mr. Jim finally finished his stream, first thing I did in the morning, I got the footage and I hit the gas on the editing. Andrew had to leave for Japan to compete in the World Championships that same week, so this was my first video with an actual tight deadline. So I had to finish both my most ambitious Pigchefer video and my most ambitious Tricky Jim video in the same exact week, which made me more creatively pumped than ever, which made me work way faster than I ever worked before. Not to mention, this was pretty much the first gym video where I genuinely knew what I was doing, where I finally found a workflow that made sense, a real efficient one. I just cut the footage up, then watch the video once, put the trainers, and mark where every other card goes at the same time. Then put the damage animations, then put the Pokemon in, then rewatch the video one more time to refine everything, and add silly stuff like this.
From my testing in the kitchen yesterday.
Yeah, Mr. Jim liked the first time I added something silly to an edit, so I felt way more confident adding heaps more treats to this video, and I was darn proud of it. In fact, I was so proud of everything in this video. How it only took 2 days to finish, how fun I made it, how so many people watched it and loved it, how Mr. Jim joined the call in his server where I was editing the video and said he'd give me a raise because I was working extra hard on this video. I'm so happy I got to make this video. It's so cool. And now that I had gotten that video out of the way, I had built up so much excess excitement that I could dump it all on my own video. I'd pretty much finished most of the work before the Charizard video, so most of what I had left was the last minute-ish of animation, the music, and the sound design. So it's probably obvious how I got it done really quick after, but at the time, when it had only been 2 days and I finished, I was like, wait, that can't be right. If your name is Church Girl and you're salty I didn't take you to prom, you might remember that getting the music right.
Whoa! The pig lore just comes out of left field. You're like, whoa, who's Church Girl? Who did you take to prom?
At the time, when it had only been 2 days and I finished, I was like, wait, that can't be right. If your name is Church Girl and you're salty I didn't take you to prom, you might remember that getting the music right for Why I Stopped Trying took literal weeks. And I pulled this off in like a couple of hours. So I rewatched the video to see if it was any good, and I was left confused and confuzzled. I'd probably watched that video so many times over the past 2 months, seeing that same script and those same drawings over and over again, that I was left more or less numb. I didn't know if it was any good. Maybe it was too slow, or made no sense, or was completely uninteresting and unfunny. So I did what any sane, agreeable man would do. Ask Mr. Jim to watch the entire thing and say if it was good or not. Listen, Andrew is right there in my DMs, and he wanted to watch it anyway, and he knows like no one in my fan base, so I knew he wouldn't spoil anything, and he understood the topic of the video far more than anyone else I knew, since he was twice my age in wisdom and has gone through the whole growing up thing before, and, if you can recall, he got an art degree in college. Watching his streams, you can really tell he understands art stuff a lot. And no, not the art of just a good YouTube video, just the art of art. I wanted the growing up video not to be just agreeable and well-performing, but something that oozed with meaning. And I felt if I wanted feedback that wasn't just
put this out for attention, a goof,
my best bet was from him. So nervously, I asked if he was alright with it, and he was like, yeah, I'd love to. So I sent a kinda rough but mostly final version of the growing up video, which he watched before he went live. I probably delayed the stream by like 10 minutes. Sorry guys. After a bit, he came back to me with the news. He thought it slapped hard, dude. Now, I had a few things I was really concerned about in the video.
He thought I slapped hard, dude. That's so sick, dude. That's so amazing. This is the best YouTube video I've ever seen, Pig. Honestly. Yeah, I was going to wait to the end to tell you, but this is the best YouTube video I've ever watched.
Video, which I tried not to tell him about beforehand, since I wanted everything Andrew said to truly come from what he really thought. And in true epic fashion, he literally talked about everything I was concerned about, because he knows art and what really goes into a piece. He knows that stuff. I was secretly worried that the video intro was boring, and he told me it was compelling and made the piece special. I was worried the speed felt awkward, and he told me that the pacing was great. I was worried that my humor sucked, and he told me that the juxtaposition of contrasting ideas was very funny to him. And most importantly, I was worried that no one would understand what on earth the ending meant, and he said that the ending with my future self was super self-reflective and very cool. Also, he paused the video a ton to read all the Easter eggs I put, like that's when you know dude's an epic gamer. What makes me most sure about the worth of my work though is if it makes my audience feel something. So when Mr. Mahone said he felt chills when watching it, and felt so proud of me that he showed the video to his wife who also loved it, brother, say no more. I'll never doubt this video ever again. Ever since the beginning of my career, Mr. Jim has been real invested in my steps towards my future. In my first meeting with him, he asked if I was going to college soon. In his tutorial session for me, he wondered what degree I'd be taking. In the Tricky Jim VOD streamed live on Twitch July 10, 2023, he was planning my work schedule in front of everyone as to all be before the school year started. And even right now, as I'm writing this video, Andrew often checks on me to see how college is going. And yes, I'm writing this video in college. Don't blow my cover, no one spotted me yet. Seeing as I just exposed myself as afraid of that very future, Mr. Jim was nice enough to say that he also felt uncertain over his future after college. But it was pointless trying to be ready for every little thing that would happen with his life, because it was impossible to predict all of it. So he told me to just focus on the present and what I'm learning and doing now, and have faith that all of that will help me learn and do for the rest of my life. And that's the thing about everything that's happened this year. It really is helping me over and over again in ways I never imagined. Remember when I said I was scared to do commissions because I thought I hadn't learned a thing useful from my videos? Well, that's what I thought, until I started working for the gym more and more, and now I don't think I could have done it if it weren't for my own videos. The videos on my channel helped me learn about colors, and composition, and pacing, which I all applied to the gym videos. And then the gym videos helped me even more with my colors and composition and pacing, that every time I finished one and came back to editing mine, I got better and better. Speaking of Pigchefer videos, did you know that I get unusually nervous every time I have to upload them? True story. I was trying to edit another video for the gym while waiting for my video to go public, and I was shaking so violently up and down my chair that I literally finished nothing. I think I'd been worried about the thumbnail.
Oh my god, it's so good, dude. So good.
While waiting for my video to go public, and I was shaking so violently up and down my chair that I literally finished nothing. I think I've been worried about the thumbnail and the retention and the CTR the entire 2 days before the upload. Since Mr. Jim already knew about the video and seemed quite curious about it, I felt comfortable talking to him about how I felt. My channel has a history of falling off, so I told him I was worried the video would perform like trash and single-handedly send my channel into an unending death spiral. I didn't think Andrew cared very much about his analytics at all. Like, he already has his sponsors, a bajillion Twitch subs, and he's talked about YouTube Studio a total of like 2 times before. But interestingly enough, Mr. Jim told me that he also worries about this sort of stuff. I thought I was the only one that memorized the view counts on my last like 50 videos, but he does that too. See guys, I'm not that crazy. Andrew seeing down arrows and dwindling views on videos he worked very hard on always felt a bit disappointing for him. The video he was most proud of making himself, the Chanpao video, didn't perform nearly as well as he wanted. But he told me that I shouldn't let the numbers and the algorithm dictate whether my video is special or not. His tabletop videos quite literally make the opposite of bank, but he knows in his heart that they're still incredibly special. Given I already knew before uploading that my video was only ever gonna get like $5, hearing Mr. Jim saying my video really is special no matter what happens felt really nice. And then literally minutes before he left for Japan, he tagged his entire server and shared the video to everyone there. Like, bro, I knew you asked how many videos I wanted for a reason, and now, thanks to the Tricky Jim, this video got an extra 100 of them. Honestly, that doesn't sound crazy, but thanks to that one announcement, the video 1 out of 10 for like 90 minutes, and non-Geometry Dash people finally got this video in their feeds. And I'm just really happy a new sphere of people finally got to see my work, you know? But that's not exactly what made this entire experience special though. Like, you might be looking at this video and thinking, wait, what was the point of this again? Where's the life problem? Where's the part where I cry at the end? All you did was gush about the same one guy for half an hour.
Where's the existential crisis? I watch Pigchefer for the insecurity. I need emotional meltdown.
No? But that's not exactly what made this entire experience special though. Like, you might be looking at this video and thinking, wait, what was the point of this again? Where's the life problem? Where's the part where I cry at the end? All you did was gush about the same one guy for half an hour. And yes, I did make this video to gush. I need more videos about positive topics, bro. But think about it like this. You remember
Video ideas. All my friends are depressed. It turns out to be depressed. Imaginary girlfriend. My imaginary girlfriend. How she changed my life forever. Wishes man. The wishes man help me every night. I gotta say, yeah. It's nice to make a video about like you know, a lighter topic every once in a while. Some of these are kind of heavy, Pig.
topics, bro. But think about it like this. You remember the last few videos I made for my channel and those problems I talked about that have been in my life? Well, that's the thing about this job, you know? Working for Andrew made me confident that art makes me happy. Working for Andrew made me learn that maybe sharing my talents with others isn't a bad thing. Working with Andrew made me realize that people see tons in me and that I'm more creative than I ever thought. And working for Andrew made me trust that my future's gonna be okay. But what does that future hold for me? Maybe it'll be years muddled in college work. Maybe it'll be things that stray me away from art. Maybe it'll mean I won't have time for the gym anymore. But wherever I may end up once that day comes, I'm sure of one thing. That I can say, I'm there because of him. And if that doesn't convince my ex that making money off YouTube isn't a total selfish thing, then I look forward to seeing you the next 10 years at the Dollar General, baby!
Wait, this video was about me?
Yes, apparently Pig's next video is going to be about working for Tricky Jim. Dang. I wonder if I have to be nervous. Tricky Jim exposed? What it's actually like working for Tricky Jim. Another day in the Tricky Mines, farming content. Pig, that was the greatest video I ever seen. You're gonna make me cry, man. Oh my god, it was so good, dude. God, man, it was so good. It's so good. You have so much to be proud of, man. Holy smokes. Pig, that video just, made my year, all right? Yeah, man. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Yeah, you should be very proud of that. Absolutely beautiful piece. I mean, my goodness. What do I have to say? Just look at the feedback from chat. Like, that was amazing. I'm so proud of you, man. I know it's not easy, going through all the changes in life and everything that you're going through right now, but like, dude, I mean, look at how much you've grown in the last 8 months, man. You're going places, dude. You're going places for sure. You're inspired. You got a really good head on your shoulders, and you're extremely talented and motivated and driven. I mean, that's all anybody could possibly want in life, is to like care about stuff and be driven and inspired. Like, and as a teenager, to create such, genuinely funny and thoughtful and intelligent and artistic pieces. I mean, it's crazy, dude. It's absolutely wild. Yeah. I mean, you're freshman in college, man. I wish I could show you what I looked like as a freshman in college, but I was not even remotely inspired like that. No. And was also not even a fraction as talented as you are right now. Like, so I'm just thrilled to be a part of your journey, as a creative person, and to help you in any way that I can. So, I'm very blessed to have you here as part of the channel, and I'm very thankful, that you reached out to me. Yeah, thank you, Victor, for those gifted subs. I appreciate you. Yeah, I'm so incredibly thankful that you reached out, and that we have this working relationship, and that and that you've gotten so much out of it. I mean, that's all I can hope for, is that this has been a meaningful time for you, and a meaningful experience for you. So I'm so thankful that that it's helped, and that you've been able to take something out of it. I mean, that's all I can hope for. So cheers, man, and congratulations on creating another absolute banger of a video. You do not have to Fiverr. Nothing wrong with Fivering, okay? Nothing wrong with being on Fiverr. Thank God he can't just play live after that. I know. It's true. It's true. It's true. Oh, man. I think for me, watching Pig, I know it's hard because you're not going to be able to I know it's hard because being a creative person, and even just being a young person, you just can't see where you're going to be in 5 years. Like, when did Twitch start? ...2011. So when I was going to college, Like, Twitch did not exist while I was in college. You know? It's impossible to see where you're going to end up. But I could tell already that you're Justin.tv. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was like, you know, that stuff was all just getting started. Like YouTube launched in 2005, I think. Yeah. You know, I was like, yeah, 2005. I was like a sophomore in high school when YouTube was created. And, you know, as soon as it came out, I started uploading random stuff. But I mean, like, that was not like a career, you know? That was not a career by any means. So you just got to trust the process. And I can tell that you're really growing and learning to trust the process. And that's hard. It is. But you know, I'm just thankful to be a part of your, you know, your journey and your growth, and to be able to encourage you in any way that I possibly can, because you certainly deserve it and have earned it. I mean, you're an incredibly creative person, and I'm just, yeah, beyond thankful to be a part of what you're doing. And I know that, Pig, it's not like, you know, I'm a fan of your content, you know? I know you're, you know, you think that it's like a one-way relate. I'm a fan of your content. I am a fan of your work as a young creative person. I am a fan of your work, 100%. Yes. I look forward to your videos genuinely. I am a big fan of your work, and I know that there are other people out there who will also become fans of your work as they learn about your channel and as they learn about you as a person. And whatever you end up doing in life, I'm sure you will be able to inspire people, because you've inspired me already, you know? So, and I know that it's just the beginning for you. So I'm excited. Yeah, I'm so excited for you. And I know it's not, you know, having a being a creative person's not the easiest thing, because there's no like rigid career path to take. It's hard to navigate sometimes, but just keep trusting the process. Keep creating. You are an artist, you know, and it's all going to work out for you. So I'm confident about that. Well, what a fun start to the day. Congratulations, Pig. You've created something really special. I know I'm a little bit biased considering the video was, you know, featured me pretty heavily, but I gotta say, it's the dopest video I'd ever seen. Yeah, that was incredible. And it really, dang. Yeah, anytime I'm having a bad day, I'm just gonna go ahead and pull that one up. Well, what's cursed about the desktop? Yo, hey, mind your own desktop, okay? Why don't you all just focus on your desktop? I'll focus on mine. I am focusing on my desktop. You're on my desktop. Cool. So, let's see. Yesterday, TCG Live is down for maintenance right now. So, ain't no live happening. And I don't have a tabletop guest scheduled for today. So, we're going to continue where we left off yesterday. Yes, have a great night, Pig. Yes, sleep well. And congratulations on a job well done. Black and white. Yesterday, we started our discussion of the history of the Pokemon TCG, talking about the early black and white sets. So we made it all the way up to Dark Explorers, which has been a lot of fun, just kind of going through the cards that were released chronologically and talking about them, talking about what cards were meta, talking about what decks and strategies popped up, talking about the evolution of the design of Pokemon cards. If you are interested in catching the first part of this discussion, it'll be on the VOD channel. But yeah, we made it all the way up to the 2013 World Championships, where we had seen that pretty much Big Basics started dominating the game. I mean, really, in the early black and white era, that was not the case, because you had strong evolution Pokemon, Chandelure, and Pokemon Prime that, like Typhlosion and Magnezone, really Kingdra, a lot of Stage 2 Pokemon living alongside basic Pokemon. And, you had some pretty diverse deck building strategies. But then Next Destinies was released. That's the debut of Pokemon EX. And then, we skipped ahead. It was 2012 World Championships. Excuse me. We didn't get to 2013 yet. 2012. The 2012 World Championships were dominated by big basic decks. In fact, if you look at the first 12 placements at Worlds, not a single evolving Pokemon was played in the first 12 players' decks at the World Championships. No evolving Pokemon until 13th place. And in 13th place, you have Electric, who is basically the same card as Flaffy. Barely counts as an evolution, frankly. I mean, this is as, it's like you have nothing but big basic decks, 1st through 12th place, but then you've got like Miraidon at 13th place, right? Which is like, Miraidon, sure, technically Miraidon has an evolution in it, but it's just there to power up big basics, right? So, yeah, it's not very diverse. You don't have a lot of evolving Pokemon, and that's because those Pokemon have pretty much been hated out by Mewtwo EX and Darkrai EX, two of the most powerful basic Pokemon in the history of the Pokemon TCG at that point in time. Mewtwo EX's X-Ball attack just dominated lesser Pokemon. You could slap double colorless energy on, slap double colorless energy on this thing, and its damage would just ramp up at a very fast pace. And then with Darkrai, it resists Mewtwo. There were cards like Eviolite that also made these Pokemon even beefier. Psychic resistance, these two were just a dominant force at this point in Pokemon TCG history and wiped out all other evolving strategies, really. And you can see that here with the 2012 World Championship results. So we're going to get on with a very exciting next set. Dragons Exalted. But before we get there, we're going to take a quick break because I have to go to the bathroom. So hang tight. I'll be right back. And when we get back, we're going to talk about Dragons Exalted and the debut of Garbodor. Garbotoxin in the Pokemon TCG. I'll be right back. Patience. Time to talk Pokemon cards. Woo-wee. Okay. So the 2012 World Championships happen, and Mewtwo EX, Darkrai EX dominates. Just big basic decks, and this is exactly what you would expect. Wait, why are you What are you sending there? Anyways. This is exactly what you... Let's see, chat's frozen. There we go. That a little smaller. Okay. This is exactly what you could expect from, like a deck list from this time. This is Igor Costa's World Championship winning list, and you could see, I mean, like, Ultra Ball is featured in the deck, but only as a 2-of, because frankly, your deck is just these big basics, right? And you don't really need ball search cards, and that's just like an insane thing. These decks are just basic Pokemon. You just have these basic Pokemon. There's no evolving. You're flinging these basic Pokemon around, and just super powering them with cards like Dark Patch plus power. You've got Pokemon Catcher, guaranteed item-based Gust, Eviolite to make them tankier, Terrakions, Retaliate, Fighting Energy, to be able to one-hit KO Darkrai EXs, right? Smeargle can allow you to use 2 supporters in a turn because you can portraits. Just absolute craziness. Big basics. But then I'm pretty sure at this point, I think the Heart Gold, Soul Silver cards all rotate out after Worlds this year. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is like, because rotation used to just happen like after Worlds, right? Dang, it's been so long now. But I'm pretty sure all the Heart Gold, Soul Silver cards like rotated out. And then so it was Black and White on at the beginning of the 2013 season. And that meant that there was a very small pool of cards. And decks were not nearly as turboed out as this. Like here, you have got Junk Arm, you've got Junk Arm, you've got Smeargle, you've got Shaman. These cards really changed the way that decks were built. Heart Gold, Soul Silver cards were rotated early because Sableye. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure I remember, because my very first, I was playing during this season, the 2012 season. I wasn't like competitive enough to go to the national championships or the world championships or anything like that, but I was playing and I was like building my very first decks and stuff, and I was able to win. My first event was a Battle Roads, actually right here in Cuyahoga Falls. I didn't live in Ohio yet, but I lived in northwestern Pennsylvania and came over. It was a 77 player Battle Road in Cuyahoga Falls. A Battle Road, for those of you that don't know, is the equivalent of a league challenge. 77 player league challenge. And and thank you for the subs there. I appreciate that. Thank you, Victor, for those 5 gifties. Thank you, Chico, the Parakeets. Thank you, Marshy Juice, for the Prime sub. Jess Press Play, Lieutenant Surge, Sundera, Craig. Thank you. Sticky Bandit, and Devo, Steel Mind, JR, Red One. Thank you all for the subs today. I really appreciate that. But I remember my very first deck was a Mewtwo EX Electric deck. And that was a deck that I like really loved. And it just played like a bunch of Biancas, and it played Junipers, and it played Ents. Those were the only supporters it played. And there was no Junk Arm in it or anything like that. It was a much simpler format. Black and White on was like a much simpler format than having to play. Like getting into the game when deck lists look like this and having to like figure out how to I know, right? I know, Dave. Getting in as a new player and trying to figure out how to navigate the junk arm meta was not very easy. I will say that. It's a complex card to play. You gotta you gotta know how to use your resources correctly. You have to know what cards are worth getting rid of, what cards are worth getting back. Deck building at this time was not very easy, right? I mean, like, look, the list only plays 2 Ultra Ball, Super Scoop Ups. Yeah. These are funky deck lists, man. You know? Yes, these are very funky deck lists, and it took a lot of getting used to. When the format rotated out all of the Heart Gold Soul Silver cards, it made the game so much easier to play because you didn't have any of these crazy cards like Junk Arm and or Smeargle or Shaman. I didn't have to think about when am I going to use Celebration Wind, when am I going to Portrait, any of that. It's just a much more straightforward game. It was very easy for me to get into, I have to say. Black and white on. So then in late 2012, we got Dragons Exalted. Dragons Exalted had some pretty cool cards like Ho-Oh EX with the Rebirth ability. Could accelerate some energy into play, but you're comparing Ho-Oh EX with your powerhouse cards like Mewtwo EX and Darkrai EX. You also had Mew EX with its versatile ability, which allows it to use the attacks of any Pokemon in play. Dang, this card was legal for a long time, and it got reprinted a bunch. But more important than any of that, there was the birth of Garbodor with the Garbotoxin ability, which shuts down all other abilities in play if you have a tool card attached. So what's crazy is that Garbodor, we already have a big basic format, right? You've got the most powerful basic Pokemon in the history of the Pokemon TCG and Darkrai EX and Mewtwo EX. And now we've got Garbodor, which shuts down all other Pokemon's abilities. And Darkrai, even though it has an ability, doesn't really need it, especially if you've got a card that gives all your Pokemon free retreat. Thank you, Sims DMH, for that sub. I appreciate it. And sure enough, there is a card that gives all Pokemon free retreat in this set. And we're going to get there in just a moment. We got Registeel EX. Oh, Fluffy Chomp, dude. People thought that this was going to be a competitive deck. Altaria, right? And this was like a cool, evolution-based strategy that was here in this set. You got Altaria, gives your dragon Pokemon's attacks 20 more damage. And then you've got, Gabite with the Dragon Call ability, can search out dragon Pokemon every turn, not unlike, Torterra Jr. or whatever. And then Garchomp. Garchomp does 100 damage for 2. Back then, that was really good damage output, except you could do even more damage with, say you had 2 Altaria out, that's 140 damage. But this deck was an ultimate flop. And the reason it was a flop is because your big basic decks were just stronger. Dragons Exalted also came with Rayquaza EX, which would prove to be the strongest dragon Pokemon from this set with its Dragon Burst attack. You could discard all basic fire or lightning energy, and the attack does 60 damage times the amount of energy cards you discarded. Now, if you took a look at the other most popular cards in the format, Darkrai EX and Mewtwo EX, they both have 180 hit points. And Rayquaza EX perfectly competes with those Pokemon because when you discard 3 either fire or lightning energy with Dragon Burst, you do 180 damage, which one-hit KOs these guys. And most importantly, when Rayquaza EX attacks, it leaves itself with just 1 energy remaining on it, making it very difficult for Mewtwo to be able to knock it out. Now, Eviolite was a card, but so was Tool Scrapper, as Tool Scrapper was also released in Dragons Exalted to help counter Garbodor, who was also printed in Dragons Exalted. So you've got a lot of change happening with this Dragons Exalted set. Garbodor, right, is now a card that can complement big basic decks, but then Rayquaza EX is a basic Pokemon that relies very heavily on abilities to support it. And there are two main strategies that you can use to power up your Rayquaza EX. You've either got Electric or you've got Emboar. And Emboar is a stage 2 Pokemon, a little bit less consistent, right? But can rain infinite fire energy from your hand into play. So, that's one way of doing things. But then you could run out of fire energy very quickly because you have to discard the energy and then Emboar accelerates from hand. So Electric was the tried and true method of accelerating energy under Rayquaza EX in the early days. And you could use, 3, if you got a board set up with 3 Electric on the bench, then you could Dynamotor 3 times, attach a fire energy from hand, and boom, one hit KO your opponent's active Pokemon EX. And just taking a look at these other big basic Pokemon at the time, like Mewtwo EX and Darkrai EX, these two are mostly 2-hit KO Pokemon. They are not usually one-hit KOing other Pokemon EX, unless it's a Mewtwo one-hit KOing another Mewtwo. It takes a lot, right? But Rayquaza could very easily dispose of other Pokemon EX and do it back-to-back turns. And with the Sky Arrow Bridge, that was in format, you could just retreat your Rayquaza EX to the next one. And you just basically built this board where you pivoted back and forth between Rayquaza EXs, launching off huge Dragon Burst attacks. I remember Ross Cawthon did really well at I think Ross Cawthon won a regional championship, or maybe got like top 4 at a regional championship with Rayquaza Electric early on in this format. I remember because I attended it. I think it was my very first regional championships that I went to. I don't remember which one it was, but I think Ross Cawthon was playing Rayquaza EX. I remember him doing well. I also played against Jason Klaczynski at that regional championships, and he destroyed me. So, yeah, I was still very new, but it was a very exciting time to be playing the Pokemon TCG. And that was, this is the format that I attended my first regional championships in. You had other Pokemon like Giratina EX. Yeah, this card was terrible. I mean, look at like the power level of this card. This card is just bad, right? I mean, goodness. Psychic, Grass, 130 damage. Discard the top 3 cards of your deck. This is like an irredeemably bad attack. So, like, Rayquaza was definitely that guy. There was another cool deck that was seeing some play, at least in my little testing group, was Hydreigon combined with Darkrai EX. So you could use Darkrai EX, Dark Patch to it, right? And then use Hydreigon's Dark Trance ability to move that darkness energy around. And then you could play a card, Max Potion, to heal your Pokemon. So that was like an interesting strategy that existed back then. But the problem with this strategy is it just got destroyed by Rayquaza Electric, because Rayquaza did not give a crap about Darkrai EX and could just destroy it, right? So yeah, that was another thing. Bouffalant was probably one of the strongest single prize Pokemon printed around this time. It had 100 HP in the Booffer ability, which made it take 20 less damage from the opponent's attacks, and then also just hit hard against Pokemon EX. I mean, 120 damage for 3. That's like good damage output. So this card definitely saw some play. And then, Floatstone's not out yet. I forgot. Floatstone doesn't get released for a little while. Ray Eels dealt with Garbodor with Tool Scrapper. So, yeah, Rayquaza Electric had to play Tool Scrapper to remove tool cards from Garbodor. So, like, there was this constant kind of cat and mouse game between Garbodor and Tool Scrapper. And then the primary tool that people wore on their Garbodor was Rescue Scarf. And this is just what people did. People put Rescue Scarfs on their Garb, right? So that if the Garbodor did get knocked out, then the Garbodor would come back. You could also play Giant Cape was like another one that some people put on just to give their Garbodor like a little bit more HP. But Rescue Scarf was like the primary one. Not a lot of people were gusting up your Garbodor and like not knocking it out. So a lot of times if it did, it would get knocked out and come back to your hand at least. But then Garbodor obviously got a lot stronger when Floatstone came out. And Floatstone would be released soon. God, I miss her. Reprint her. This was absolutely insane. So if you wanted to play an optimal Rayquaza Electric deck during that city championship format, during that regional format, and during the first part of the city championship format, you had to play this thing. This Rayquaza was a shiny secret rare in Dragons Exalted. And if you wanted to play an optimal Ray Eels list, you had to have it. Ray Eels at this time, I'm pretty sure was also playing Tropical Beach. So you had to have this $100 secret rare. Yeah. Had to. It's a shiny Rayquaza. And there was not a non-shiny version of it. It's just one copy, but you had to play it. You could get a turn 1 Dragon Pulse was good. You could knock out Tynamos. And then Shred could one-hit KO Rayquazas. In the mirror, Rayquaza EX, you could one-hit KO them with Shred. So you had to play that. But thankfully, in the very next set, they released a non-shiny, non-secret rare version for all of us. All of us balling on a budget. That was me. Yes, we could all afford this version of the card. But I was definitely priced out of playing Rayquaza Electric because of this card. When the deck first came out, yeah, I could not afford the shiny one straight up. So I had to wait until this next set came out. Dragon Vault, which was like a mini set. Dragon Vault had Super Rod, EXP Share, and then a very funny card called First Ticket. First Ticket is an item card that says before you flip a coin to decide who goes first in a game, you may play this card. Don't flip that coin, and you go first. If both players play First Ticket, flip the coin as normal. And what's very funny about First Ticket is that, it shows you that the coin flip used to happen after you set up to play. So you used to set up to play, draw your hand, all of that. This card was not very good. Nobody played First Ticket, really. But you could. It wasn't worth, because what are you going to put 4 First Ticket? It's like literally it's literally a pointless card, And half the time you're going to go first anyway. That was kind of a funny thing. So you had the Dragons. You had Dragons Exalted, followed by Dragon Vault. This was the Dragon Fall for sure. And then I remember my first ever complete booster box. The first booster box of Pokemon cards that I ever opened by myself was Boundaries Crossed. It was a Christmas gift that I got from my girlfriend's parents at the time. They were pretty well off, so they could afford to get us things like booster boxes. And I opened a booster box of Boundaries Crossed, and man, I love this set. This set was crazy, and it really changed quite a bit. And one of the most exciting things about it was that it introduced a extraordinarily playable Stage 2 Pokemon who happens to be my favorite starter of all time. Blastoise with the Deluge ability, which allows you to attach a water energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon as often as you like during your turn. At this point in the Pokemon TCG, when this set came out, I was pretty invested. I mean, I was attending regional championships. I won my first Battle Road. I also won my first city championship, and that was also with Mewtwo Electric. So my first deck that I saw any success with was Mewtwo EX with Electric. I just had a very kind of consistent deck. I learned how to play it, and I got really good with it. But then Mewtwo Electric really started to kind of fade into obscurity with the popularity of Rayquaza Electric, and with, you know, like Garbodor and stuff, Mewtwo Electric was falling off, and I needed a new deck to play, and I was dead set on that deck being Blastoise, because I loved Blastoise. I thought Blastoise was the coolest. I love Squirtle. I love Blastoise. I love all these dudes. And sure enough, there was a perfect partner to Blastoise also printed in this set with Keldeo EX. So this was the water deck. You had Blastoise EX, or you had Blastoise and you had Keldeo EX. Keldeo EX negated the need for switch cards with its rush-in ability, allowing you to switch Keldeo EX from the bench to the active spot. And then it had the powerful Secret Sword attack, which does 20 more damage for each water energy attached to this Pokemon. So with 3 water energy, you're doing 110 for 3. That's pretty good damage output. And it could ramp all the way up as high as you needed to go. And since Blastoise can accelerate to any type of Pokemon, you can play your own Mewtwo EX, because obviously Keldeo EX is weak to Mewtwo EX, because if you pile a bunch of energy on Keldeo EX, then your opponent can just respond with their own Mewtwo EX to knock it out, and then you can respond with your own Mewtwo EX to knock out their Mewtwo EX. So the original Blastoise decks played Keldeo EX and Mewtwo EX with Blastoise and Rare Candy. There was only one small problem. The best Blastoise decks all played 3 to 4 Tropical Beach. Yep. That was just, if you wanted to play Blastoise, you were going to need 3 to 4 Tropical Beach. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. You needed it. There was no substitution. You needed 3 to 4 Tropical Beach. They were $50. They were not $50. I bought 3 Tropical Beach for $500. I saved up every penny I had and bought 3 Tropical Beach for $500. And I got 3 instead of 4 because I couldn't even afford 3. Yes. So but I wanted to play. So when I invested into those tropical beaches, it was safe to say that I was going to be playing Blastoise. That was it. I was like, listen, I invested in the deck. I'm playing Blastoise, bro. That's it. I just spent $500 on 3 tropical beaches. So I was playing Blastoise. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. I was just gonna play Blastoise. And I played Blastoise that entire season. It didn't matter what the meta was. It didn't matter what the best decks were. I was playing Blastoise, period. So I invested into my tropical beaches. There was another pretty cool card released in this set, Landorus EX. Landorus EX, very powerful card. It's got the Hammerhead attack, which does 30 damage and 30 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. And then also lands Judgment, which is not used as often. But Hammerhead, very good against electric decks. And a card that I would become quite fond of. Another major thing about this set is that it coincided with the release of Ace-Specs, the very first Ace-Specs, of which Computer Search was always my favorite. It also had the release of Skyla, which was very good for helping you find those tropical beach or rare candies for your Blastoise deck. And then there were these other terrible Ace-Specs. Gold Potion, heal 90 damage from your active. Crystal Wall, if this card's attached to Black Caremy X, it gets maximum HP of 300. Yeah, these things were like never played. Just straight up. There were a couple Darkrai decks that played a Gold Potion, but almost all of them opted for Computer Search instead. I remember owning 4 Full Art Bianca. Oh, yeah. Now that I'm seeing this set, it took me a little while to be convinced that my Mewtwo Electric deck was not worth playing anymore. I still played Mewtwo. I still play Mewtwo Electric during this time. I remember because my Mewtwo Electric deck had 4 Full Art Biancas in it. And the reason my beaches were so expensive is because I didn't switch over to Blastoise until probably like the late winter, early spring. And by then, everybody had kind of realized that beach is what was needed to make Blastoise really good. And by then, I was late to the beach party, so I had to like pay a premium for my tropical beaches. Yes, I probably went through that entire city season, you know, and I won, I think, 2 city championships that with Mewtwo Electric that season. So I was doing okay, and I remember the early Blastoise decks were super inconsistent because nobody had figured out that Tropical Beach was what was needed to make that deck optimal yet. People just hadn't figured that out. And the thing is that there just wasn't like the Pokemon TCG formats get like figured out very quickly these days. But back then, you could go months without people realizing that you got to play Tropical Beach in your Blastoise deck. Like that was just like you could go months before people actually came to the collective consensus that like, you know, like, oh, we all need to play Tropical Beach because deck lists weren't shared, results weren't shared. There was no such thing as limitless TCG. Like everybody kept their deck lists very close to their chest and didn't share with one another. You know, so information moved much more slowly. So I remember I was still playing my Mewtwo Electric deck all the way through Boundaries Crossed, and I remember thinking that Blastoise decks were too inconsistent. But then once people found out that the Tropical Beaches made them more consistent, that's when I made the switch, and then I had to shell out $500 for 3 Tropical Beach, which was not bad. I mean, now that card's worth like $500, so. And we had the Plasma sets, the debut of Plasma Pokemon, Plasma Storm and Plasma Freeze, with those beautiful blue borders. Love the way these cards look. To this day, I still think the Plasma Pokemon are some of the best treated, like, villain cards in the Pokemon TCG. They just look really cool. I do love them. Not as good as the original Team Rocket, but they were very good. There were some very powerful new cards with the Plasma sets. Unfortunately, none of my birds were very good, okay? But there was a brand new archetype that was released, which was insane. Ooh, Donphan. This card would go on to be one of the most powerful single prize decks during this era with its spinning turn attack. Now, this card was not good on release. This card was terrible when it got released. I mean, 40 damage and switch, that's not squat. But eventually this card would become like a tournament-winning card. Just took a little while to get there. Took until the X and Y era. Oh, that's right. This is when I started playing Blastoise. Yes, sir. Right here. I missed the first wave of Blastoise Keldeo decks, but when this card came out, I was all in. And I remember because the Secret Rare Blastoise came out like right around here too, right? Yes. All right. When this set came out in 2012, I bought 4 Secret Rare Blastoise for $20 a piece. Because, of course, I had to have the fully blinged out Blastoise deck. These were $20 a piece. Now look at them. I got 4 of these, $20 a piece. I bought my Tropical Beaches. Of course it's cheap. That was super cheap back then. Yes, now it's now it's hundreds of dollars. But yes, this is when I started playing Blastoise. And it was all because of this card. Black Ballista. You know how I told you that, like, Rayquaza could one-hit KO Pokemon EX? Well, Black Kyurem was even better at one-hit KOing Pokemon EX. It could one-hit KO Pokemon EX even if they had an Eviolite on them. 200 damage. You needed 2 water, a lightning, and then 1 colorless energy. You just were, boom, just absolutely smacking things with Black Kyurem EX. So this deck used Keldeo and Black Kyurem EX. Black Kyurem EX, like Rayquaza EX, left itself with just 1 energy after it attacked. So it wasn't weak to Mewtwo EX in the way that Keldeo was. And you could, help mitigate Black Kyurem EX's fat 3 retreat cost by using Keldeo's rush-in ability to, give your deck some mobility. I loved the idea of one-hit KOing things. So Black Kyurem EX was like a super fun card that I was very excited about, and it got me all aboard the Blastoise train 100%. So that is when I started playing Blastoise, when this card came out. Lugia EX was also a very powerful card. had the overflow ability. If your opponent's Pokemon's knocked out by damage from an attack of this Pokemon, take one more prize card. That's right. This is literally Iron Hands, bro. People be complaining, man. Iron Hands existed back then. Lugia EX is super good. Had the Plasma Gale attack. Discard a Plasma Energy attached to this Pokemon. 120 damage. And the thing about Lugia EX is that, let's see, did Deoxys EX come out yet? All right, no. Deoxys wasn't out in this set. Deoxys didn't come out to the next set. So Lugia EX wasn't good on arrival. It didn't really get super powerful until Deoxys came out. Now, this supporter is one of the most powerful shuffle draw supporters in the history of the Pokemon TCG. Colress would change the game. We already had Juniper. We already have N. But I was telling you how decks were like playing Bianca and stuff, okay? No more Bianca. See ya. Those full art Biancas, I was like, dang, dude, I bought these full art Biancas, and now, like, none of my decks play full art Bianca. That's crazy. Yeah, it's because they all play Colress now. Colress, shuffle your hand into your deck and then draw number cards equal to the number of benched Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's. If you've got a bench of 5 and your opponent's got a bench of 5, that's a Colress for 10, baby. Shuffle draw 10. Broken. There has never been a supporter quite like this since it was printed. I mean, that is just an incredibly powerful card. Bicycle, item-based, draw card, fill your hand to 4 cards. There's some turbo decks played that. Escape Rope. This is the first print of Escape Rope ever. Previously, this card was referred to as Warp Points. And Warp Points was last printed in 2008. So this was the triumphant return of Escape Rope 4 years later, or of Warp Points. And then one of the most devilish item cards in the history of the Pokemon TCG, Hypnotoxic. Oh, Hypnotoxic Laser. This card defined an era. My goodness. Games, championships, tournaments were decided because of this item card. It is an item card that puts your opponent's... It is an item card that makes your opponent's active Pokemon poisoned, and then you flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is also asleep. And then there was also this cute little stadium card, Burbank City Gym, which places 2 more damage counters on poison Pokemon between turns. So, if you're reading this correctly, with a Hypnotoxic Laser and a Burbank City Gym in play, you could add 30 damage to your Pokemon's attacks and have a chance at keeping them asleep. And if that Pokemon doesn't switch, then that's 60 damage coming back, and then 90 damage going through again. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that Pokemon stayed asleep and your opponent was not able to switch it, and that kind of stuff happened all the time, it added up so much damage with Burbank City Gym, especially in decks that, like, if you and your opponent are both playing decks with Burbank City Gym and lasers, then, like, that's a lot of damage. And this card saw a lot of play alongside Darkrai and Garbodor, because you could shut down your opponent's strategy, right? You could just, like, turn off their abilities, Night Spear, 90 damage, 120 damage with poison, right? And that 30 damage is such a huge... I mean, you're increasing your damage by a significant chunk. I mean, 30 damage is 33% of 90. Like, that is such a significant bump in your damage output. And really helped to fix some math. So a lot of Darkrai decks played Hypnotoxic Laser and Dark Claw. Right. So with Dark Claw and Laser, your Darkrai's 90 damage could be turned into 110, 140, and then being able to Pokemon Catcher and then do 30 to the bench. I mean, it was a lot. Thank you, Reverend General, for the sub and the 22 months. In Plasma Freeze, we also got 2 more great ace specs. I say 2 more because Victory Piece didn't really see as much play. That was for, Victini EX. And it did see some play. You saw some. It did. But not a ton. Dowsing Machine saw a lot more play. You could Dowsing Machine for Hypnotoxic Laser. You could Dowsing Machine for Pokemon Catcher. Dowsing Machine and Computer Search are by far the 2 most popular ace spec cards. But Scramble Switch was pretty neat and allowed for some very explosive strategies because, in a way, Scramble Switch kind of acted like the old Shaman Celebration Wind, right? Where you could just play this card and then whip all your energy from one Pokemon onto another. And we're getting ace specs back this year. That's true. Or next year. This year? Next year. Whenever the next set comes out. Yeah, and Dowsing Machine was a lot like Junk Arm, but a more balanced version of Junk Arm because you could only play 1. Dang, look at these super cool full arts and stuff too. The Charizard. And then we got Plasma Freeze. That Charizard did have an error. Yes, has a fighting energy on it. Plasma Freeze. Did I miss Propagation? Holy smokes, I did. I scanned right past it. All right. This little guy wasn't, like, incredible right when it was released, but would eventually become a... It was not a played card when it first came out, really. But this card would later define expanded format because expanded format would become, very discard heavy and would feature a lot of Battle Compressor, a card that didn't exist yet. So this card didn't become really good until Battle Compressor came out, right? So this card didn't really see a lot of play. But what it allowed you to do, it didn't see a lot of play until Battle Compressor came out. But when Battle Compressor came out, then the eggs started seeing play because you could just put the eggs into your discard pile and you could just bring them back from the discard pile into your hand infinitely during your turn. Because even though it says once during your turn, it doesn't mean once during your turn. It does, but as soon as it goes to the discard pile, then that effect gets... Or as soon as it goes to your hand. Yes. As soon as it goes to your hand, the game doesn't know if it's the same egg anymore. So you can, like, bring them back from the discard pile as much as you want. Yes. So with just one egg, you could, like, put it into the discard pile, with an Ultra Ball or something, bring it back to your hand with Propagation, put it back into the discard pile with Computer Search, bring it back into your hand, put it back into the discard pile with Ultra Ball, and you could just do that on repeat. It's pretty crazy. There's also the Vengeance Flareon. This was a popular card eventually, not at first, but 20 plus 10 more damage for each Pokemon in your discard pile. This would later be played alongside Vespiquen, but Vespiquen doesn't come out into the X and Y era. And the really big thing about Plasma Freeze is that it's really beefed up the Plasma mechanic. I mean, Plasma Storm didn't really have a lot in the way of strong Plasma cards. You had Lugia, which is cool and all, but not really anything to support Lugia. In Plasma Freeze, you get like all the entire Plasma engine came out in Plasma Freeze. And one of the strongest attackers was this Kyurem here with the Frost Spear attack. Like, if you thought that Darkrai EX was good, doing 90-30, this guy could very easily Frost Spear on the first turn of the game, doing 30 damage to the active and 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, and then Blizzard Burn for 120. Now, those numbers are not very big, but there was this funny little card, Deoxys EX, which can boost your Pokemon's damage output by 10 for each one you have in play. Power Connect makes it so your Team Plasma's Pokemon's attacks do 10 more damage to the active Pokemon. So if you've got 4 Deoxys EX in play and you are swinging with, I don't know, Kyurem, then that means that you're doing 70 damage to the active and 30 to the bench. And then if you play a funny little card like Hypnotoxic Laser, then you're doing maybe 100 damage to the active and 30 damage to the bench. So you can see that Kyurem here was a single prize Pokemon with 130 HP, so not easy to knock out. And it could pump out some of the same numbers that Darkrai EX was pumping out. And then Blizzard Burn, like I said, if you've got 4 Deoxys EX on your bench, Kyurem's Blizzard Burn built up, that's 160 damage, plus Hypnotoxic Laser. Now you're looking at 1-hit KO range. And this card was possible to power up early thanks to a brand new item card. Where is it? Did I pass Culver's Machine? Where's Culver's Machine, bro? Culver's Machine. It was in Plasma Storm. I missed it. Culver's Machine allows you to search your deck for a Plasma Energy and attach it to one of your Team Plasma Pokemon. So you could use Culver's Machine to accelerate an extra energy onto your Kyurem, or any Plasma Pokemon for that matter. Could be Kyurem, could be Lugia EX. And this was a very strong and popular archetype. You had people referring to it as TDK, Thundurus, Deoxys, Kyurem. And we haven't talked about Thundurus yet. He's right here. Thundurus EX was the backbone of this deck. Has 170 HP in the Raiden Knuckle attack for 1 lightning energy, does 30 damage, and you can attach an energy card from your discard pile to one of your bench Team Plasma Pokemon. Riding Knuckle does 30 damage, but I already showed you Deoxys, so with, a few Deoxys on your bench, you could easily be doing 60 damage. With Hypnotoxic Laser, you could be doing 90 damage for just one energy. 90 damage for one energy if you've got Burbank City Gym, Hypnotoxic Laser, 3 Deoxys on your bench. Boom. Riding Knuckle for 90 damage, and it accelerates any type of energy from your discard pile to your bench, which means that you can accelerate any of these cool, fancy, special energy that had just been released. Right? Where's the special energy at? You could accelerate plasma energy. I think it was the... maybe Boundaries Crossed. Are they from Boundaries Crossed? No. Where are these special energies? There was Prism Energy. I know. Where are the special energy at? There was a bunch of very good special energy around this time. I seen them. I know I seen them. Prism was in Next Destinies. And then you had the blends, and they all saw play. You had the blends. You had the prisms. I'm going to do it like this. Just show me all the special energy from the black and white era, please. Done. Look at all these beautiful cards. You could play double colorless energy. You could play blend energy, right? Blend energy had lightning and water on it, so you could use it to power up Thunderous and Kyurem. Very important. Double colorless energy was used to help power up Lugia EX, who could take bonus prizes. Plasma energy, of course, and Prism energy from Next Destinies. That is like a rainbow energy, only for basics. Yes. So these are like the core special energy you had at the time, and my goodness, these were all very good. Plasma energy, powering up your Pokemon with Colress Machine, also powering up that Lugia EX, allowing it to take bonus prizes. And that was like the core Plasma deck. It was a very low to the ground, fast, and aggressive deck, and was extremely successful. I think Plasma got second. I want to say it got second place at the national championships this year. Ryan Sablehouse. That's right. Look at these. But there is another major player here. Gothitella Selgor. We haven't quite got there yet. Kyle Sukovic. But yes, this is what your... And this was a very successful archetype. And this is exactly like the kind of low to the ground, aggressive strategy that I was talking about. You've got Kyurem, Thundurus, Deoxys, and Absol. Absol is another really strong card from the Plasma Freeze set. It's got the Mind Jack attack, which does 20 damage plus 20 more damage for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. That's base 120 damage for just 2 energy. You could do it if your opponent has a full bench. You could do it turn 1 with like a Prism Energy, Colress Machine, boom. Absolutely insane. And then with Deoxys to boost it and with Laser to boost it, I mean, you're just doing an absolutely obscene amount of damage. Yo, and Ryan Sablehouse played the Life Dew. What a madman. It is a tool card that makes it so that your opponent takes 1 fewer prize card if the Pokemon wearing it gets knocked out. Now, this was This was spicy. This was not like the most common thing to do. I'm pretty sure Kyle Sukovich did not play the Life Dew. No, because he is a sane deck builder, all right? That's right. Kyle Sukovich, very normal, consistent deck builder using computer search, right? Because that's what normal people did. And then you had Ryan Sablehouse, who's like, I think I'll play Life Dew. I know this card seems broken, but it was not very good. Because you could just get it tool scrappered, right? And then your A-spec did nothing. But it was a meta call. It was a meta call saying that, my opponents aren't going to play tool scrapper. And if you look at, look at these top lists, there's no tool scrapper. Oh, we got another Life Dew. But no tool scrapper, right? Now, of course, Puka played a tool scrapper because he's a very conservative deck builder, but most people probably did not play tool scrapper. Oh, Jose's got one. But there you go. The Life Dew. I mean, imagine knocking out your opponent's Pokemon EX and only getting 1 prize for it. Knocking out your opponent's Kyurem and getting 0 prizes for it. Yes, TDK was a monster of a deck, as you can see from the U.S. Nationals results. But everybody knew that TDK was like the deck to beat, and there was a counter deck that responded to it perfectly. Gothitelle, a Selgor. So let me paint a picture. The metagame is shaping up to be very defined and very item-based, as you can see by taking a look at this second place TDK list. Look how many items there are here. Keep in mind, tool cards are items. So you had a certain amount of players, Jeremy Jalen included, who's a commentator, right? We had some Blastoise, Keldeo decks in top 32 of Nats. My good friend, Nick Bailey. RIP. Top 32 of Nats that year. I forgot he top 32 Nats that year. That's crazy. We were so new. We were so new back then. Like, for him to top 32 this Nats, he had like the season of a lifetime this year. It was really incredible. I mean, he top 8 in multiple regional championships. I actually, I think this year, I got my first finish as well. I top 8 at a regional championship this year. And I top 16 to state championship this year. So I had some pretty strong finishes, but Nick was like, we were testing buddies, and Nick really was popping off. But yes, you had people kind of figure out that decks were very item reliant and didn't have a lot of switch cards to bail them out, a lot of switch options to bail them out of status conditions. So then this very crafty rogue deck was born. You have Gothitelle, a Selgor. Gothitelle from Emerging Powers. This is not a new card. This is an old card. And that's what's crazy, is that the new cards were the plasma cards. These are like the really amped up, powerful new cards. The old cards, this deck's got old cards in it, dude. Dark Explorers, that's not a new set. Emerging Powers, that's not a new set. This card's relatively new, Mew EX. I mean, but not like, still at this point, the card had came out in the fall and Nationals happens in the summer. So like, still almost a year old. But the metagame was shaping up to a position where there was a very clear weakness in the meta decks, and that was item lock and paralysis, right? So Aselgor's got this attack, deck, and cover. The defending Pokemon is now paralyzed and poisoned. Shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your deck. 50 damage, poison, cool. And then it goes back into your deck. So after you use deck and cover, you promote Gothitelle. Gothitelle's got the Magic Room ability. So your opponent can't play items, right? And keep in mind, there's no such thing as boss's orders. So the only way to move Gothitelle out of the active spot is with an item. Pokemon Catcher, right? So your opponent can't play Pokemon Catcher, they can't play Switch, they can't play Escape Rope, they can't play Floatstone, they can't play none of that. None of it. And they just have to wait there for you to deck and cover again. Now, obviously, finding a Stage 1 Pokemon every turn that gets shuffled back into your deck is annoying. So why do that when you can just use Mew EX to copy a Aselgor? And that's exactly what this deck does. You use Mew EX's versatile ability to copy a Aselgor's deck and cover. And then you rinse, wash, and repeat. And this entire strategy is unlocked with what is probably the best tool card ever printed, Floatstone. I don't know. What do you guys think? You think it's the best? Is this the best tool card ever printed? It came out in Plasma Freeze, but you can see how this strategy wouldn't really work if you can't retreat Gothitelle every turn, right? You have to be able to retreat Gothitelle every turn in order to continue using Mew to copy deck and cover. And Floatstone, it's just a tool card that gives free retreat. No ifs, ands, or buts, no drawbacks, no nothing. It's the best tool card there ever was. Yeah, incredible. And it also had perfect synergy with Garbodor, who used to dream of times like this. You know, Garbodor still had not reached its peak yet. But with Floatstone, Garbodor strategies would start to really come into the spotlight in the formats ahead. You could also put Floatstone on Keldeo EX, which is really good. Because with Keldeo EX's Rush In ability, you can basically put a Floatstone on Keldeo, rush into the active, and then retreat into whatever you want. And in your Blastoise decks, that meant that you basically had unlimited pivoting options. So this deck only has one weakness. And that weakness is this little pony, Keldeo EX. It was really the only way to break paralysis in this, right? And the thing is one Keldeo didn't do it. You had to play two Keldeos, because if you played one Keldeo, your opponent could just Pokemon Catcher it up and then paralyze Keldeo. And then once Keldeo got paralyzed, well, then how do you deal with that? So then you had to play two Keldeo, because the only way to protect against this strategy is to have two Keldeo on your bench, so that if one gets gusted into the active spot and paralyzed, then you could rush in with the other one. But not a lot of decks played double Keldeo, because why would you? Finding bench space for two Keldeos, almost impossible. Yes. But it did become, after this one Nats, then you had that tech become popular for Worlds. And what this deck could do, that was like really the checkmate situation, right? Because if you're doing constant paralysis and your opponent's Pokemon is stuck, paralyzed, and poisoned in the active spot, eventually that Pokemon will get knocked out, and your opponent will have a free turn to be able to attack. But with Dusknoir's Sinister Hand ability, you can negate that completely, because Sinister Hand allows you to move the damage counters on your opponent's side of the board around in any way you like during your turn. So this was the perfect checkmate card. You set up Dusknoir, and then you paralyze your opponent's active Pokemon. Then you move that damage to a bench Pokemon. This is like Radiant Alakazam on steroids, like you guys realize. People try to replicate this with Radiant Alakazam nowadays with like lock decks, right? But this was like the real deal. You could just keep your opponent's Pokemon paralyzed active. How did Double Keldeo solve the problem? It just solved the problem like it was Double Keldeo with Darkrai. That's how the problem. Like you like had to play Darkrai EX. It was a very convoluted. You had to play Darkrai EX. You had to get like a Darkness energy onto Keldeo. So then you could like rush in the Keldeo and then retreat for free with the Darkness energy. That was like it. That's how you did it. But only certain decks could play all of that, right? Like that's a 3-piece combo. It's a lot. Now, obviously, Blastoise decks, I remember playing against my buddy Jimmy Pendarvis at a city championship and destroying him with my Blastoise deck because I got turn 2 Blastoise. Now, obviously, this deck has to set up item lock, right? You know, and it has to evolve into a stage 2 to set up item lock. So if you're playing Blastoise, you can outspeed this deck. And if you set up Blastoise with 2 Keldeo, it's like an auto win. Because all you have to do is just get enough energy on Keldeo, and then you've got 2 Keldeos, you go rush in, bop. And then there's like nothing they can do about it, right? And I remember I beat him and his friend Dylan in top 8 and top 4. Or it was in top 4 in the finals of a League Cup. Or it was a city championship back then. And he was so salty. It was so sick. Because, you know, Blastoise setting up turn 2 was not something that happened all the time. So I definitely got lucky and sacked. Yes, Floatstone, incredible card. Superior Energy Retrieval also came out at this time. And that's what really allowed the Blastoise strategies to succeed. Because, I mean, without Superior Energy Retrieval, how are you getting all those energy back for Blastoise? So you had Black Kyurem EX, you know, the Waters, the Lightning. Boom. And this card just got reprinted in Standard. Obviously, it sees play with, like, I mean, oh, how far we've come. You know, now we've got Superior Energy Retrieval with Baxcalibur. I mean, it's a very similar strategy. And you're seeing this, you know, it's from a decade ago. But we've got all that in Standard format now. Life Dew, Rock Guard. Getsis was pretty cool. And by pretty cool, I mean not. Your opponent reveals their hand and shuffles all item cards found there into their deck. And then you draw that many cards. This card definitely got a little toxic and ended up getting banned in expanded format. Gold Ultra Ball. The most beautiful one. Dang, when Noble Victories come out? Oh, here's Plasma. Plasma Blast. Dang, yo. All right, let's see. What did the What do the World Championships look like that year? 2014 Worlds, 2013 Worlds. I remember this year. So yeah, my buddy Nick Bailey ended up qualifying for this World. So did Kevin Baxter. And those two were like, you know, kind of friends of mine who I was playing with and around. And I remember being like, wow, they qualified for Worlds this year. That's crazy, you know? I was not good enough to qualify for Worlds yet. I mean, I top 8'd a regional, but qualifying for Worlds was really hard. I mean, just top 8'ing a regional didn't mean that you were necessarily going to qualify for Worlds this year. And you could see with the release of Floatstone, these Garbodor strategies really starts to pop off. And this is Dustin Zimmerman, the man who designed the Tricky Gym logo and the Gym Leader Challenge logo. He got top 4 at the World Championships this year with a Darkrai Sableye Garbodor deck. So that's just an ability lock deck. You've got Simon Nerode. I remember Simon finishing second place at Worlds with his TDK deck with the double Keldeo strategy, right? And this is exactly what we were talking about. TDK lists were not playing double Keldeo in the they were not playing double Keldeo at Nationals. And you saw, because they weren't playing double Keldeo at Nationals, they ended up losing to the Gothitella Selgor decks. Notice which decks did not show up, bro. Ain't no Gothgore, man. No Gothgore at Worlds. None. Which is super funny. James Good, Blastoise Keldeo. I remember this deck. Yup. This is pretty much, you know, the exact list that I was playing around this time. I love just a fat 4-1-4 Blastoise line. Love that. I remember 9 Water Energy, feeling a little low on the energy side, but I did love Silin. It's a cool card. I really became a fan of Silin once the Jirachi EX started seeing play, when that card came out. But what's crazy about this Blastoise Keldeo deck is that it really relied on Skyla. I mean, Skyla was like the best supporter card in this deck, which is insane to think about, but it just was. A supporter card, and it's, what, Skyla's like still around. It just, nobody plays it. Skyla was printed in Rebel Clash, so like not too long ago. But yeah, Skyla was like the Irida of that time. It's true. Search a deck for a trainer and put it into your hand, so you could just go get Tropical Beach. You could go get Rare Candy. You could go get Superior Energy Retrieval. All the dopest cards. And then Jason Klasinski won his 3rd World Championship with a Darkrai EX deck. So the Keldeos, they were here not just for Gothitella Selgor. The Keldeos were also being played to help break Hypnotoxic Laser Sleep. Because you could just lose games. Like if your Pokemon stayed asleep in the active spot because of Hypnotoxic Laser, you just would lose that game, right? And it's a 25% chance. Like, what's the odds that your opponent stays asleep on laser, right? It's 50% chance of going to bed, a 50% chance of waking up. So 25% chance you stay asleep. That's a 1 in 4 chance. And laser decks played 4 lasers. So odds are, if your opponent plays 4 lasers in a game, you're going to stay asleep on one of those. So the double Keldeos were being played not just as a tech for Gothitella Selgor, but also as a tech against other players' Hypnotoxic Laser, because you would lose if you stayed asleep. Yeah, this is a really, really good deck list, though. I mean, just what a beautiful, clean deck. Just big basics. Sableye, Darkrai, Caldeo, Mr. Mime, tech for the Darkrai, Mirror, preventing that 30 damage spread. 4 Juniper, 4 N, 4 Dark Patch, 4 Pokemon Catcher. I mean, this is as clean as it gets. Energy Switch. It's all just so good. Just nuts. Absolutely nuts deck right there. And we did have a Ray Eels top 8 worlds as well. Ray Eels was not a super popular deck at this point, but showing that it can still compete with the best decks at the time. This was like a very refined looking Ray Eels list featuring Tropical Beach. Tropical Beach, as you can see, any deck that requires any amount of setup, Tropical Beach is being featured in that deck. Whether it's, Blastoise setup, we need Beach. Ray Eels, we want to set up, we need Beach, right? That's just what all of the evolution-based decks were doing during this time. They were all beaching. And now it's like, it's hard because, in a lot of ways, like this, that's just how these setup decks were setting up. We're using Tropical Beach, but it's like, what do setup decks do now to set up? You just kind of hope that you draw into the right stuff. Now we're playing like Baxcalibur decks are playing like the Pokestop engine, which just, and how bad does that feel? Playing Pokestop. You're like, yeah, I'll just Pokestop into the things that I want. Yeah, now it's just like, I pray I open VIP Pass. I pray I hit the right cards off Pokestop. Like, it's, I don't know. I liked Beach. I like the design of Beach a lot as a card. I felt like it was I think that this is such a strong and balanced card for like setup. For setup based strategies. We are getting some new interesting things for setup decks to do on turn 1. I mean, now like the main things, what do setup decks do on turn 1? Now they go for Mew. That's just like the thing, right? You're like, okay, I just try to get my Mew in the active. But imagine if you could go for Mew. Man, bro. Imagine if you could go for... Why do every single one of these have Mew in it? I'm looking for Mew from Celebrations. Yes. Now the setup decks go for this, right? You go for Mew, but imagine if you could like Mew and then Beach. Like that would be so sick. But we do have Evo TM, which is like another cool thing that setup decks have have the option to be able to do. So it's interesting. Evo TM is certainly going to shake things up a little bit. But I do kind of long for the reprint of Tropical Beach. I think that that's just a very good, healthy card. But yeah, Ray Eels kind of still showing it's got that stuff. Raikou, Rayquaza, 3 Colress. Oh, yeah. Dylan Bryan, bro, I remember watching this Worlds, dude. Dylan Bryan had a game. He played against Jason Klasinski. This was the craziest deck I ever saw in my life. Dylan Bryan was a madman. Absolute madman. So this is like a Flareon deck. Vengeance does more damage for the amount of Pokemon in your discard pile, but then it wasn't just a Flareon deck. It also had Landorus in it. It also had Terrakion in it. Like, what in the world is going on? There's 3 enhanced hammers here. There's also this guy, 50 damage times the amount of special energy cards in your opponent's discard pile, and then the enhanced hammers to put him there. Also plays a 1-of Garbodor, because why the heck not? Also plays this thing, prevent all effects of your opponent's attacks done to each of your Pokemon has any energy attached to it. So that's like the anti... a Selgor card. Like, bro, what a nuts deck. Top 16 Worlds with this absolute pile of cards. I remember back in the day, it was like Ross Cawthon and Dylan Bryan were like the rogue legends. This was a very wild concoction. And then the Busybody Audino. If this Pokemon's in your hand, you may reveal it. If you do, heal 10 damage and remove a special condition from your active Pokemon. So this also could help heal from like poison and paralysis, right? Busybody, you just boom. And it wasn't an item card. Like, this is a card that heals special conditions, but it's not an item card. That's pretty crazy. Wow. Yeah, that's nuts. That is just nuts. You have Jeremy Jalen. Top 32 worlds. Some Kling Clang. Some Kling Clangers out here. It's like an anti-meta deck, right? Because you use this Plasma Kling Clang, which makes it so your metal Pokemon can't be damaged by Pokemon EX, and then you have the Shift Gear one too. And you just attack with Cobalion EX. Very defensive deck. Dang, that's so sick. But yeah. You can see the format definitely started to get a little bit more interesting. The early black and white format was really plagued by like explicitly big basic decks, but then you did start to have, I mean, like Rayquaza Electric was a pretty cool deck. Like, I liked Rayquaza Electric a lot. Then, you know, Blastoise Keldeo was another cool deck. Big basics are still the centerpiece of every single deck, though, right? Did I like the X and Y block or the Sun and Moon block more? The Sun and Moon block by far. The Sun and Moon block is like one of the best design blocks until tag teams. and then it really like, whoop. What happened to the John Roberts video? It's John Roberts the second. I got busy. I got a really nice interview with him. I planned on making a video back when I was, you know, I was thinking about doing video essays, but then, my goodness, just the amount of time and effort that goes into a video essay. I don't know. Maybe I'll go back and do some, if I'm ever feeling like inspired to do video essays, maybe I'll go back and do those, but I just don't know that I'm feeling inspired to do video essays right now. I got a really nice interview with John Roberts. I still got it on my computer. I could still turn it into a video essay if I want to, and I still might. But, yeah, that's going to take a lot of time and effort. You know, writing scripts, so much work. First, you have to write it. Then you got to record it. Then you got to, like, animate it. I could write it and record it and then just pay Pigchefer to animate the entire thing. That could be cool. Yeah, I should just pay Pig to write it. But yeah, the game started to open up quite a bit more. And with cards like, you know, the Kling Clang strategy, like that's kind of interesting. But if you look at all of these decks, it's like Pokemon EX are still the centerpiece of every deck. Even the stage 2 strategies like Blastoise, it's all about Black Kyurem. It's all about Keldeo. These guys are the support, and these guys are the attackers. And that's the way with like every single deck. It's like you've got Pokemon EX are dominating the game. This guy is the support. This guy is the attacker, right? Just straight big basics. The plasma decks were just no evolutions in those things. You know, you had your crazy decks like Dylan Bryan's deck. This deck was truly an anomaly. Most people building decks at this time, it's just, Mike Newman had no Black Kyurem EX. Madman. Almost everybody was, you know, nice. Lugia-based. Excuse me. Oh, Umbreon? That's pretty cool. And if you take a look at, let's see. Yeah, they're still the centerpiece of decks today. It's true. You know, if you look at like 2010 World Championships, right? I mean, like, look at this deck. There's so many evolutions in here. You got a 101 Machamp line. You've got a 111 Dusknoir line. You've got a 4-2-3-1-1 Guardy line. This is Michael Pramawat's World's... You can see why Michael Pramawat is someone who says that, like, you know... Yeah, he's a very loud critic of the current game design philosophy. And I mean, look, like, this is his second place Worlds list from 2010. And look how much... Look at the difference between this, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 Pokemon. And this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 Pokemon. There are 25 Pokemon in this deck. 25. 25. You know, look how many items there are. Yeah, what? So how many items are in this deck? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because tools were items back then. 8. There are 8 items in this list. 1, 4, 5, 8, 9, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 30! There are 30! 30 items. That's 3 years, right? In 3 years, you have the dynamic of the game change so drastically, right? Thank you, Wavy Chavy. Yeah. It's crazy. It's craziness. I mean, the game really did change, and the pace, you know, the pace did change dramatically. I mean, look at this Gengar deck, right? The vibe and the pace of the game changed extremely dramatically. Even like this is seen as like a very fast turbo kind of like beat 'em up deck, you know, Lux Chomp, right? I mean, and even it is very complicated looking. Gyarados. This was a relatively simple deck back then, for sure. Sheesh. Sheesh. Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like that kind of really... Who is this? Abomasnow Ampharos? I've never even heard of that. Blaziken? Dang. So that's 2010. 2011. Magnabor. I mean, even in like 2011 with like the Heart Gold Soul Silver cards combined with the black and white cards, you still have evolutions are the focus, right? David Cohen, Ross Cawthon's The Truth. Evolutions are the focus during this time. They're still the focus. Tom DeLozel. I mean, here you do have a big basic supported by a stage 2 Pokemon. $2012. And that's boom. Boom. Pokemon EX enter the fray. And look at that. Look at that. Like, what, dude? It's Mahover, man. That's as clear of a picture as I can paint, right? (2010), all these evolving decks. I mean, 2010 wasn't a perfect format, but the diversity, though, you know? 2010, 2012. Yeesh. Even 2011, I mean, you did have a lot of Reshiflosion, but Dylan Bryan, the rogue goat. Jay Witz. That's so sick. Reshiflosion. Yeah, man. That's so cool. I mean, this deck, your main attackers are stage 2s. I mean, it's stage 2. Magnezone is like a draw sport, but he's also one of your best attackers. You could attack with Reshiram too, but like Magnezone there can one-hit KO anything. So crazy. So in 2013, like I said, 2013 is better than 2012, and it just was. I mean, you had some variety, right? You had big basic decks, you had some stage 2 decks. Granted, you know, they all kind of followed this pattern though of like you're stage 2, but it supports big basics. Everything is about the big basics, and the EX era really put the big basic EX Pokemon at the centerpiece of the Pokemon TCG conversations. Who'd we get here? Oh, I did see that. Yeah. A game of 2011. Yeah. I did. And then Plasma Blast. And with Plasma Blast, we had the release of Virizion EX and Genesect EX, a match made in heaven. If you are a player who likes extraordinarily linear, big basic decks, then my goodness, you're gonna love Virizion Genesect. Virizion Genesect was like Arceus before Arceus V-Star was even a blip on the radar in the thought of a creature's employee's mind. Okay? Virizion is a basic Pokemon with 170 hit points and the Verdant Wind ability, which makes it so that Pokemon with grass energy attached to them cannot be affected by special conditions, which was a big deal because of that card. Hypnotoxic Laser, which I have been talking about. Hypnotoxic Laser. Yes, very big card. And guess what? Virizion just stomps that right out with the Verdant Wind ability. Cannot be affected by lasers. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And then Emerald Slash. For a grass and a colorless, it does 50 damage, and you can search your deck for up to 2 grass energy and attach them to one of your bench Pokemon. Well, boy, howdy. I wonder if there's any good bench Pokemon to attach them to. Oh, wait, here's Genesect. Genesect EX, 170 hit points, got the Megalo Cannon attack for 2 grass and a colorless. It does 100 damage and 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Kind of exactly like Darkrai doing 90-30, except just 10 damage different. It's like Genesect stole Darkrai's homework, copied it, but I'm going to change it just a little bit so the teacher doesn't notice. Just going to tweak it just a little bit. The teacher's never going to find out. Our answers are just slightly different. Yeah. See? Same thing. So yeah, this is a pretty good card. But the best thing about this card is not the Megalo Cannon attack. That's honestly, It's an adequate attack. The best parts about this card are its red signal ability and the G Booster, a spec card. Red Signal says when you attach a plasma energy from your hand to this Pokemon, you may switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon. Now, plasma energy is obviously a very good card. Saw play in all these plasma decks, right? Boom, just a colorless energy that, triggers special effects with plasma Pokemon. So you could attach your energy for turn and turn that into a gust effect. That is very good. It's extremely good. Because right about this time, there was a big change happening in the Pokemon TCG. They decided, you know what? I think this card's a little bit too strong. They're like, yeah, maybe, just maybe guaranteed gust on an item card is too good. Maybe, it's been a couple years. Maybe that's too strong. Maybe we shouldn't have done that. So they decided to walk it back. And they changed it to a coin flip. I'm pretty sure they printed this one, and then almost immediately I feel like they eroded it. Right? Because this one still says, but right around this time, they eroded it. And they changed it to a coin flip. Does anybody know exactly when it happened? XY base eroded it. So it was soon. Yeah, it was happening soon. XY base, cool. Yes. So during the very first days of Genesect, you still had Pokemon Catcher, but this red signal ability would get a lot stronger as time went on because they would errata the Pokemon Catcher to be a coin flip. So then this would become the only guaranteed way to gust in the Pokemon TCG after a little while. We also got a reprint. We also got a reprint of Blastoise, because why not? But yeah, so you had Virizion, you had Genesect, you had the Red Signal Gust, which was excellent, and you had Jirachi EX. Sheesh! What an amazing card right here, Jirachi EX, Stellar Guidance. If you're familiar with Lumineon V's Luminous Sign, then this card is going to look very familiar to you. It's only got 90 hit points. Isn't that crazy? 2 prize Pokemon. This card gives up 2 prizes. 90 hit points. But you know what else? That means you could search it out with Level Ball, baby. Oh, and we did. That's right. You could search it with a... Imagine a Level Ball, man. Just a Level Ball. You could just... Imagine getting Lumineon with a Level Ball. That's crazy. How did you get rid of Jirachi EX? Your opponent knocking it out? There's also this card, Silver Bangle, which helps to balance out Pokemon EX quite a bit, because this was a tool card that could only be attached to non-EX Pokemon, and it increased the damage you dealt to EX Pokemon by 30. So this was a very popular kind of equalizer. And then, of course, there was G-Booster. Yeah, this thing was nuts. So you know how I said that doing 200 damage was good? Yeah, doing 200 damage was real good. That's why Black Kyurem EX was good, right? And you had to set up a whole Stage 2 Pokemon in order to power up that Black Kyurem EX back in the 2013 World Championships. But what if I told you you could just get this crazy attack that does 200 damage on a basic Pokemon, and all you need to power it up is another basic Pokemon? Well, that sounds pretty good. So G-Booster, One of the gnarliest Pokemon cards ever. Like, look how heavy metal this thing is. I mean, like, really comprehend it. Like, this thing is... What? Like, what exactly is happening with this piece of technology? What is this? What exactly is the Megalo Cannon? Uh-huh. What exactly is the G booster? Where is the G booster? What is it? What does it do exactly? That's a super gnarly Pokemon card. So aside from just like looking incredibly cool, it also was very stinking good. 200 damage, you know, for a basic deck. And you just slap this thing onto your Genesect. And then it's just straight housing out here. You turn its wimpy little cannon into like the gnarliest cannon ever, right? Like, look at this little dinky water gun that it's working with, and then you give it the G booster and it's just doing 200 damage. So all you had to do, Virizion EX, Emerald Slash, power up a Genesect, then that did 50 damage. Then Megalo Cannon does 100 damage, plus 20 more to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. 50 and 100 doesn't exactly add up to good math. 50 plus 100 is 150. Then you could, like, you know, gust something else up and then pop the 20 damage, and then you're like hitting 170. But it'd be really good if there was, like, you know, maybe some sort of tool card that increases the damage that your Pokemon do by like 20. You know, that would fix all of this deck's math problems for sure. Because you can't G-Booster every turn. Sometimes you got to just like 2-hit KO a Pokemon with like an Emerald Slash and then like a, you know, and then a Megalo Cannon. Another big thing that that Genesect did. Any y'all notice what Blastoise's weakness is? It's grass. And what's his ability to do again? Well, Red Signal. You get to just bring anybody up into the active spot, and then Blastoise's weakness is grass? Yes. Blastoise did not very much enjoy Virizion Genesect being around. Yeah, that was not great. You know how hard it is to set up Stage 2 Pokemon? To have your opponent just eviscerate them with Red Signal and Megalo Cannon was not a lot of fun. And I certainly got very tired of it. So around this time, I switched up the script entirely. I told you I invested into my 3 copies of Tropical Beach. And I was going to play a Rain Dance deck no matter what. You remember that old car, Rayquaza? Well, it turns out if you were dedicated enough, you could still play Rayquaza. Except instead of using electric, you just had to use Emboar instead. Raybor, baby. Raybor. So, I pretty much just gutted my Black Kyurem EX Blastoise deck. And then I slapped in Emboar and Rayquaza, and I just started playing that because that had a much stronger matchup against Virizion Genesect than Blastoise Keldeo did. And man, I used to just smack on these Virizion Genesect decks with my Raybor deck. I love that Raybor deck. And playing Raybor this year, this season, I top forward my first ever regional championships with Raybor, and I lost to a Plasma deck in top 4, just barely. But that was a very exciting time for me, being able to see that success with the Raybor deck. So Virizion Genesect was the major player coming out of Plasma Blast, Jirachi EX, another bigly impactful card for sure. But, you know, a lot of these other dudes, these cards were all just bad. Yeah, like bad. Yeah, none of them see them play. We know how it is. Pokemon releases a set. Most of the cards are bad. We get it. You got G-Booster. That was a very good card. You got G-Scope. Nobody played that ever. It's just like, look at the power differential. G-Scope just does 100 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Okay. Why would you ever do that if you could just attach a Plasma Energy and then gust up that Pokemon and do 100 damage to it? So, yeah, that card did not see any play. Scoop Up Cyclone did see some play. It is just a guaranteed Super Scoop Up. And this card did see a little bit of play, especially in Landorus Crobat decks. I didn't play it in my Landorus Crobat deck, but that card did see some play. And then we got the nice Secret Rare Execute as well. And the beginning of the worst Worlds promos ever, bro. Champions Festival? Man. Tropical Beach for years. For 2 years. And then we get Champions Festival. 9 years of Champions Festival. Man. Worlds promos fell off. High key. And, yeah, Plasma Blast was the last... Really, Plasma Blast was like the last, like, original black and white set. And then you had Legendary Treasures, which was like a reprint set, which is hilarious because if, you know, if you go to, like, eBay and you look up, like, a Legendary... Legendary Treasures booster box. They gave out these booster boxes during like city championship season this year. And we used to sell these to shops for $50 a pop. Like, I just remember doing that. Like, because nobody gave a crap about this set. Nobody. It was a reprint set. None of us cared, bro. There was like no new cards. You had Mewtwo. It's like you had Zekrom. You had all the same old Pokemon EX. Like, nobody cared about this set. It was so worthless. You had different artworks. Who cares? No new cards. You had what? Chandelure EX, one of the only new cards, which was a terrible card. Excadrill EX, one of the only new cards. Terrible card, right? Like, nobody cares. It was a dumpster set. All we did was get reprints, arts from Japan we never got, a couple of gold cards. These cute guys, sure, but none of them were good. This Mew EX, which would keep Mew EX legal for like years to come. And it's funny, what was what was actually pretty funny, I mean, like, this artwork is beautiful. Like, yeah. And this artwork is super cool. But, like, we didn't care back then. I, personally, this card was my favorite card in the set. I had, like, 1 million of these. But what was funny about the way that cards were printed back then was that, or the way that legality worked, is that this set reset the legality of all of these cards. So, like, Darkrai was going to be standard legal for another 2 years because of this set, even though it had been printed years ago, right? So, like, Legendary Treasure, it just reset the legality of all of these cards. So the black and white era really bled through into, like, the X and Y era, like, completely. And I'm pretty sure that Mew EX got reprinted one more time, too. Because that Mew EX was legal for way too long. It's actually kind of bothering me. Oh, my God. Looking up Mew EX is like... Yes, this guy. It was an X and Y promo, too. It's the same card, right? 2016! Like, people were playing Mew EX during the Sun and Moon era, dude. I know, people were playing it in Zoroark GX. Like, that card was printed in Dragons Exalted, dog. Like, what? This card, that card. Yeah, I know, right? That card might be, like, one of the longest legal Pokemon in the history of the Pokemon TCG. I know, because I was playing Buzzwole GX and was losing to this card in, like, 2017, which is messed up, man. And this is why we have, exactly, and this is why we have regulation marks, kids. Yeah. Literally, though, right? Yeah. So it was originally printed in 2012, right? And then it was printed again in 2013. And then it was printed again in 2016. Why? Why? Yeah, that's hilarious. You know, but that is the entire X and Y, or the entire black and white block. So between yesterday and today, we've scrolled through the entire black and white block. That was a lot of fun, going through all of that and just reliving those strategies and stuff. I do have a lot of videos. I've got a lot of videos I got to work on, so I'm going to get out of here. I feel like it's a good time to stop. Tomorrow, we've got the debut of the new set on the Pokemon Trading Card Game Live, so that'll be a lot of fun, and I'm just going to take this kind of downtime with no new cards to work on some videos. But thank you guys for tuning in for the stream today. Again, huge shout out to Pigchefer, and a huge thank you to Pigchefer for creating such a lovely video. And it'll go live tomorrow on his channel. Definitely check that out. It's about his experience working for Tricky Jim, and it's really a lovely thing that he has created. So definitely recommend that. And I'll be here tomorrow, hopefully, with the new cards on the Pokemon Trading Card Game Live. Fingers crossed, okay? I'll see you tomorrow. Deuces.